Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around so we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, TV, and streaming, here on this first show after Christmas. And we hope all of you guys had a very merry, wonderful, relaxing, exciting, fun, filled with loved ones, or some well-deserved me time holiday season. And we're awfully glad to be back. And I'm not alone. We got Kimberly-Anne Curran here with us. Kimberly, how you doing today?
Morning, guys. I'm doing great.
And right beside her,
morning,
Ray Ora. He's got his coffee. He's got, what's that in front of you? It looks like some kind of Xbox trophy.
Yeah.
You are the Xbox champion.
Thank you, Anne and John.
And it's good to have you guys here. And yeah, listen, we do have a lot of things that we need to cover here today. Oh my goodness, a brand new Batman trailer dropped this morning. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the sad passing of one of the more underrated but talented directors in the Hollywood business in a little bit. We're going to talk about Atlanta's got a new thing coming up. We've obviously going to talk about Spider-Man No Way Home passing $1 billion at the box office, and Matrix 4 coming so close to making $10 at the box office. We got a lot of stuff to cover, that and more. Anyway, it's good to have you here. By the way, I want to mention this off the top, is that you guys know we still have a second part of the Spider-Man No Way Home open spoiler discussion to do. Now, we didn't do it last week because last week being Christmas week, it was nuts. Plus, we had literally 2 full days of unboxing, wrapping, delivering for our adoptive family, which, by the way, the video for that is up on the main channel, on the main page of the channel if you want to go check that out. So I said I was going to do it on Sunday. And then around Friday evening, Anne asked, oh, by the way, what are we doing on Sunday? And I said, oh, I got a big Spider-Man 2 video I got to do. And then she gave me that look, which, Ray, I'm sure you're familiar with the look. The look of, I'm going to give you 10 seconds to reconsider what you just said look that Anne has. And there's a pregnant pause. It's like, you're working on Christmas weekend. And I'm like, no.
I'm hanging out.
How did you get that from what I just said, honey?
How foolish is that?
How silly. How silly.
How
Anne. No way. I would not be working on Christmas weekend. No. Anyway, so at that moment, I decided I was going to do it today. So later today, the part 2 of the Spider-Man No Way Home open spoilers. And you know what? I'm glad. I'm actually glad, because now I've seen the movie a couple of times and I've got slightly different perspective on a couple things, including, you know, some not so good thoughts about Spider-Man No Way Home after now that I've seen it a couple times. Don't get me wrong. I still absolutely love it.
I agree. I understand. I saw it for the 3rd time as well. And although I enjoyed it, I was like, huh.
I still love it. I do.
Well, I don't care. I love it. Oh my God.
But there are a couple of things about it that stood out to me a little bit more annoying than they did the first time. But anyway, we'll go into that a little bit later. Anyway, guys, good to have you here. And here's how today's show is going to go. We break the show up into 2 parts. In the first half of the show, we're going to take some predetermined topics. Then in the second half of the show, we're going to take your live comments and your live questions. Now, if you're watching live, and only if you're watching this show live, and you want to send in a comment, thought, opinion on any of the topics we're discussing here, go ahead and use the super chat feature that's in the live chat of the video. Now, if you have a question for the show, go down into the description of this video and you'll see a tip link. Click on that there or enter it in manually at www.streamelements.com/movieblogtv/tip. You'll be getting your question read on the show or an upcoming companion video if, of course, we deem your question appropriate to be used on our show. And, of course, you'll be supporting the channel at the same time. And all of us involved here at the John Campea Show, thank you guys so very much for your support. And one other little bit of housekeeping, guys. Don't forget, if you need your daily fix of the John Campea Show, but you can't be in front of a YouTube video, maybe you're commuting, maybe you're at the gym, whatever, good news, there is the audio-only version of the John Campea Show in podcast form. It's called the John Campea Show Podcast. Just go to your favorite podcasting app of choice, search for the John Campea Show Podcast, subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it. And we thank all of you guys who have already subscribed to the podcast. All right. With that down, let's get into a couple of off the tops here, shall we? And our first off the top is this. You know, a couple of years ago, it now feels like a decade ago, Donald Glover came out with this little show called Atlanta. And it caught the world by storm. It's dry, underlying sarcastic, gray toned wit just kind of captured the imaginations of everybody. And he had these three basically unknowns on the show with him. You had this girl that anybody had heard of, Zazie Beetz. You had Brian Tyree Henry, who, Paperboy, who nobody had heard of before. You had Lakeith Stanfield, who nobody had really heard of before. And it became a darling. And it did season 2. Donald Glover won all types of Emmys and awards, and a well-deserved and all that kind of stuff. And we've been waiting, I believe, since Avatar for Atlanta season 3 to finally come out. Well, the season 3 trailer, we know it's coming, but the season 3 trailer has now dropped. And it looks like this show has not missed a beat. Not a beat. It had that same dry, gray-toned, understated, sarcastic humor running throughout it. And this time the crew's gone to Europe, which is hilarious. But I gotta say, I had to stop the trailer that when I was watching the trailer this morning. I actually had to stop the trailer because they got to that press conference scene. And the guy says, the results of our plan is that we will eliminate racism by 2024. And I just, oh my God. And I just started laughing. I started laughing so hard I was missing what was coming up after that. So I just had to put the kibosh on it, had to pause it and just gather myself for a second because that was so funny. Anyway, what's really amazing about this show is, once again, it was Donald Glover with these 3 no-names. These 3 no-names now are huge. Zazie Beetz is doing both a lot of art style films, and she's in Deadpool, and she's in Joker. Lakeith Stanfield
The Harder They Fall.
Oh yeah, Lakeith. Well, forget about
that. No, we are putting that in.
No, that's an absolute garbage.
The Harder They Fall.
We'll make
Very
up the
good
exception
movie.
of the good streak she's on.
Wonderful
but
movie.
Lakeith, also in that garbage movie.
Oh my God.
He's only going out there
We're
getting
gonna-
Oscar nominations. That's all Lakeith is doing. He's just, gathering up Oscar nominations at this point. Brian Tyree Hill is blowing up everywhere. He's doing comedy. He's doing drama. He's doing comic book films. Of course, he was just recently some
Marvel,
Eternals.
holy crap.
I know. He just recently saw him in Eternals. The guy, all of them now. So now we're coming into, we've got a new situation for Atlanta. We are now coming into Atlanta for the first time where you have 4 bona fide superstars in the lead, which is so far removed from when this little Atlanta show started out so many years ago, right? Kim, you had a chance to see this trailer. Have you been watching Atlanta? Or have you been looking forward to this? What did you think of the trailer? Where are you at on this?
I'm halfway through season 2, so I haven't finished
Okay.
it completely.
You're almost caught
It
up.
was definitely my treasure of 2020 when we were all in our pajamas and what more can I watch? Keep my eyes open. I love, love, love the writing. And
It's
these
so
are
good.
just the guys that you want to hang with, and you hope they do well in their endeavors in the world that they've built here. I'm so in awe of what Donald Glover has created. But then again, I remember that music video he had. God, what was it
This
called?
is America?
Yes.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, this guy is a genius. He is a genius. And you're like, well, yeah. But it's one of those shows, it's not like Cheers, but where you want to hang with them. They're your friends. When you turn the show on, they're your boys. You want to hang with them and see what's up. So I was so excited. And I think it's really funny how the characters still have the same walk. You know what I'm saying? But when you think about these actors and the hiatus from the show, what they've been accomplishing,
It's crazy.
I'm like, you could put a little more oomph in that walk now that you're nominated for this and nominated for that. But it's no, they come back. They have the humility. They still have the same energy from the characters. And I'm excited to pick up where we left off. Or for me, catch up and then pick up where they left off.
I don't feel at all odd saying there's never been a TV show that has come on and then every one of the cast members started going on to have major careers in films. It doesn't matter what show you go back and look at look at Friends. Mm-hmm. I mean, Jennifer Aniston was in a bunch of movies, but she was never in anything incredible. She's had much more success on television.
Yeah.
But all of them tried to have big film careers. I mean, Courtney Cox, I mean, she had Scream. And she did one or two other little things. The rest of them all tried, but never. And it's the same true as any TV show ever. I have never seen a show where like the show comes out and all of a sudden the entire cast just kind of blows up. I've never seen it like this before. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Have you been watching Atlanta? If so, what do you think about this trailer? Have you been excited for this new thing coming out? Whatever you guys are feeling about it, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's do one more off the top. And wow, this should really be one of the main topics today, but it just happened. And so we're going to talk about off the top, and that is this. You guys know that probably my most anticipated movie at this point, and has been for a little bit. I was even more anticipating this than Spider-Man No Way Home, was the new Matt Reeves, The Batman. Everything they have been showing about the Batman has had me giddy with joy and anticipation. Right from, I mean, look, when we found out that Ben Affleck was no longer going to be around, a little storm cloud of rain fell on my head, and I'm like, oh. And then we all kind of waited to find out.
The Charlie Brown.
That's right. With the sad piano music as I'm walking around all sad. But, you know, then we started trying to wait for, okay, so who's going to be the guy? Who's going to be the person to come in and direct it after him? And then we found it's going to be Matt Reeves. Okay, look, I would much rather have Ben Affleck, but if it's got to be anybody else, Matt Reeves is a pretty damn good pick. And then they selected Robert Pattinson. And of course, everybody knows what I'm going to say now. The whole world in using Twilight Boy. Well, they went and got the Twilight Boy.
Oh,
why would they get the Twilight Boy? But that's all anybody thought, because so many people have not been watching this incredible catalog of movies that Robert Pattinson has been doing for like the last 10 years. That has made him like top of the list of every director in Hollywood who wants to work with him. Then the first trailer dropped, and we were all like, okay, even the doubters. It's like, you know, that Twilight Boy is not bad. Like, even the doubters were starting to go, okay, maybe this works. And then the second trailer came out, and we were like, oh my God, Batman is a horror movie where Batman is the supernatural serial killer. Like, that's kind of, it had that vibe to it. And then kind of out of nowhere, today, totally unexpected, unless I missed something, they dropped a new trailer today. And it's awesome. They're calling it the Cat and the Bat trailer. And it looks phenomenal. It covers every angle about this that it should be covering, from like, even like one of the other cops going, we can't be trusting this guy. He's a freaking vigilante, to all the cool kind of flirty, dark flirtations that happen between Batman and Catwoman. Some great moments, with why am I forgetting the name of Andy Serkis? With some great moments with Andy Serkis as Alfred. More action. When he grabs the gun off the guy and starts beating the living hell out of him with that gun. Like, all these Batman trailers have been showing us this dark, visceral, violent side to him. The Riddler is becoming more like, when I first heard the Riddler was going to be
Paul Dano.
Yeah, was going to be the kind of the villain of the film. I was like, really? Riddler? They couldn't do better than Riddler? And then they find out Paul Dano's going to play Riddler. And like, okay, wait a minute. That could be something pretty cool. And they've slowly been revealing more and more of Riddler to us. And it's like, okay, yeah, I'm so on board. This is a 7 Batman movie. This is a, what's that one with Morgan Freeman, where he's the detective about the serial killer, A Kiss the Girls. This is like a Kiss the Girls Batman movie, right? Like, it's got all that flavor to it. And I'm watching this trailer, like, I've been waiting for the Batman to kind of miss a step, right? I've been waiting for the Batman to lose its footing, or to finally put out something that looks really cheesy and kind of cringy. They ain't done it. Everything just seems to one-up itself. And I am literally losing my mind waiting for this. And at the end of this trailer, great joy, because you realize this thing's coming in like 3.5 months.
I know.
I mean, less than that. So like about 3 months, this thing's coming. And less than 3 months from now, we're going to have this Batman movie, God willing, and we don't have any more theater closures and delays and whatever. But that being said, I am so excited for this. Ray, you had a chance. You watched this Batman. First of all, I'm not going to let you get away with it. I'm going to tell everybody what you said. I'm going to tell everybody what Ray said.
No, that's behind. Okay, fine. Fine. Go ahead.
I'll let you tell them yourself. What's the first thing you said when you watched this trailer?
I said, that's a dope Twilight 4 trailer.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Is that girl in the mask? Is that Bella?
And he meant it.
No, but look, the place, like Gotham itself, it looks violent.
Oh, it looks so good.
And like the one thing about, I forgot which Batman it was, where it just feels like everyone's a criminal in the city.
Yeah.
And Batman is just totally outnumbered. That's what I sense like throughout all this trailer. It's like violence everywhere.
Yeah.
Also, there's no sun in Gotham. I don't think the sun comes out. I mean, every place is not. Well, I guess okay. He only comes out at night. I get it. Okay, so I just figured that out. I figured it out. He only comes out at night. Okay, so that makes sense. But yeah, it looks good. I like the violence in there. It feels like every time he slams someone, there's like spines cracking. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Even when he slammed Catwoman, it was like.
Yeah.
So everyone's back is broken in Batman for sure. But look
Number
good.
1, no sun. Number 2, everybody's back is broken.
Yeah. No, it looks good. The part where he's just, I don't know what he was holding. Was that like a bat or something?
A gun, I thought it was.
Was it a gun?
I thought so.
He was just
flipped it.
wailing on guys like left.
He
beating
flipped
the
it and then
crap out.
used it like a hammer.
And then there was that one hallway scene where the two guys were they shooting at him and he's just walking through?
He's just again, that's kind of like he is the supernatural killer from a horror movie now. Right?
I know, John, you don't like animated DC animated stuff, but this reminds me so much of Batman Year One. It's crazy, just like the whole tone, the detectiveness of it. There's gonna be some detective elements to it. For sure.
I mean, that's a good point because Year One, that he's said before, that is definitely one of the major influences,
especially
of it as well.
Especially with the Riddler being the main, the main villain. Of course, he's gonna have to figure out stuff with clues and things like that. But yeah, I thought it looked great. Maybe it's worthy of ticket watch. I was asking.
Ticket
Not
watch.
sure. We'll have to wait till it
2022.
gets closer. So we'll see.
Kimberly, you had a chance. You watched this. We all gathered around the computer and watched it all together this morning before the show started. What did you think of this trailer?
Oh man, first of all, I'm really excited to get what I felt like it was a really full trailer that's telling a different side of the story, because we got a first look and then we did get a trailer, but I felt like the first look was some awesome clips. But this to me is putting together a better idea of what the story is going to be without giving it all away. And I agree with you, Ray, because I believe Matt Reeves said we're going to dive more into how Batman is a detective. And even with Christopher Nolan's films, which high praise, you didn't feel that much of Batman as a detective. Whereas I think we're going to get that. And we're really going to get that. I agree with you. It's got kind of that 90s thriller vibe to it, that kind of 90s whodunit, a little bit of action, but more so just thriller. What the hell is going on? But when I think about everyone who's in this film with Paul Dano and Colin Farrell and how everyone's so unrecognizable, I'm just so excited to see how this plays out. And Ray, you were saying earlier, it looks like more of a romance.
There's some. It looks like there's some romance in
And I
there.
totally
there
agree
definitely
with
is.
you.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
totally agree with you. But I didn't get that really from the trailers before. And from this one, I'm like, oh yeah, this is what we're gonna see. So I'm really pumped.
It looked
I'm
like
excited.
It looked like the first half of that trailer was all about the cat and the bat romance angle, right? Like
Yeah,
the
I
first
mean, which
half,
they haven't touched
and
on
then it
yet.
went to violence.
Yeah.
Like it went from love to violence, like straight up.
It's true of any good romance movie, I suppose. But that is a part of this story that they kind of glossed over in the first couple of trailers, right? Like they didn't really spend a lot of time focusing on that romantic relationship. But I mean, anybody who knows Batman understands the Batman Catwoman stuff. So I just thought they're adding new elements. As each trailer comes out, they're giving just a little bit more of an idea about, okay, there's Batman and he's violent. Okay, but now we're starting to get a grasp of the story. And for the first time, they give us a little bit more insight into what the history of the Waynes has to do with it and what's the connection of the
Sounds
Waynes.
like there's something there.
There's some kind of big secret that Alfred has to come clean about.
Yeah, that part. That they looked like they had some sort of conflict in that trailer.
Yeah.
Like not just like a small argument, like they're butting heads on some particular
Something in
issue.
the past. And when I heard that Andy Serkis was cast, I was like excited because he's one of my favorite actors because he brings something new to the industry as a whole. I mean, how many things has he invented that have changed the way that films are done? But seeing more of him in this, I'm like, this is why he's such a good casting for Alfred. I love it.
Also, after the first trailer, I sensed that Catwoman was just a cameo, but after this trailer, it seems like she's a way bigger part of this movie than I initially thought. I thought she would pop in, then they'll have a little struggle, and then she would go away. That'll be it.
Yes.
But she's a part of this story. It actually looks like she's a part of this whole
The seed
story.
of Lenny Kravitz has a major role to play in this film. By the way, how stupid unfair is how much talent is in that family.
Oh, God.
Like how
Not just
stupid.
talent, but
She looked great.
You know how they
Oh,
say there's that urban legend, like if you have two hot parents, the kid's gonna come out like not that hot. totally blasted that.
That's
She
gone
got
out the
the
window.
best of Lisa Bonet and the best of Lenny Kravitz. That is the hottest kid. Oh my God, she's beautiful.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What did you think about this new Batman trailer? I thought it was freaking awesome. What are you guys feeling about it? Are you as excited about it as me? Whatever you guys are thinking, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's get into our main topics here today, shall we? And how do we select our main topics here in the John Campea Show? Well, it's really simple. You see, you guys come up with them. Whenever you come across a big topic, issue, or story that you guys feel we need to cover as a main topic here on the show, just go anytime 24/7 over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's absolutely free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, Kim, what is our first main topic today?
All right, guys, our first main topic is coming from Martin Voch. Greetings and salutations, John. Sad news today, as the director of one of my favorite movies, Dallas Buyers Club, has passed away. Jean-Marc Vallée was just 58 years old. He went on to do amazing television with Big Little Lies and Sharp Objects, getting a lot of awards and attention. I also really liked Wild and Demolition and wished he had done more films after those. We lost a really great storyteller. Thoughts?
You know, every once in a while on this show, we need to talk about the passing of an icon, of a legend. But normally, the good news is we're also celebrating a long life well lived. You know, like somebody in their 80s or 90s or whatever. It's still very sad, but a good Canadian kid, Jean-Marc Vallee, just died at 58. Apparently, he was at his cottage outside of Quebec. Beautiful country out there. At least, you know, when he passed away, he's probably surrounded by beauty and everything. We don't know any details about his passing or how he passed right now, but very, very sad to hear. And this dude was an amazing storyteller. He knew how to take very human stories and translate them in such ways, whether they're based on real life events or incredible gripping kind of drama. He did it on both mediums, on the big screen and on the small screen. The dude just knew how to do it. This comes to us from the folks over at Deadline who write the following. He followed up Dallas Buyers Club with an adaptation of Cheryl Strayed's memoirs Wild, which he did with Reese Witherspoon, which starred Reese Witherspoon and Laura Dern. The film was nominated for 3 Oscars. Then Vallee turned his attention to long-form television series, and the results were seminal. In 2017, Vallee received DGA Awards and the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Directing for the HBO limited series Big Little Lies, which he also executive produced. In total, the series won 8 Emmys and 4 Golden Globes. He also directed and executive produced the HBO limited series Sharp Objects, which was nominated for 8 Emmy Awards. And then you go to the other things like Wild was mentioned, Demolition, which he did with Jake Gyllenhaal, which is kind of an underappreciated little film. This dude, just everything he touched got amazing critical response, great audience response. Big Little Lies is actually one of the bigger momentum kind of talked about water cooler television projects in the last 10 years. I mean, everybody was talking about Big Little Lies that was going on, and it attracted all the biggest stars to be in, of course, Reese Witherspoon, Nicole Kidman, on and on. And it just it was so good. And then as you go through each, whether it's Wild or Demolition or Big Little Lies or Sharp Objects, which he did with Amy Adams, you know, it's always rooted in real human experience.
Mm-hmm.
And he never had to do a comic book movie. He never had to do a big flashy action film or super funny comedy, although eventually it would have been great to see him do those. But the fact that he was able to pull out this kind of quality, this kind of stuff, on such a consistent basis when he did it, the fact that we have lost him at just the age of 58, when really we probably still had 30 years of this guy's storytelling ahead of us. We probably still had 30 good years. And for him to pass away at this stage, again, we don't know any of the details, and so I don't know, so it doesn't really matter. But right now, it is a day of loss. We've lost a guy who has shown he was probably one of the better storytellers in the business, and we didn't get to see where he would go from here. And it's really, really sad to see. Did you watch, much of his stuff, whether it's, by the way, I should mention with Dallas Buyers Club, what's the one thing I always talk to people about? What is the number one job of a director? The number one job of the director is to get the best performances out of his actors and guide his or her actors into the best performance possible for that film. Well, what happened in it? Oh, just won 2 Academy Awards for his actors. He got Matthew McConaughey his first Academy Award. He got Jared Leto his first Academy Award. Jennifer Garner is awesome in everything. Jennifer Garner is also awesome in that. And, best picture attention, all that kind of stuff. I mean, we've been talking about all the stuff other than Dallas Buyers Club, but yeah, I mean, Dallas Buyers Club, what he was able to do there. And Kim, what of his work stood out to you and your thoughts on his passing right now?
Yeah, I really loved him as a director because I feel like he took stories, especially when you think of Big Little Lies, something that could seem on paper like a telenovela. So much drama. Really, there's this much backbiting in this, but he pulls out the humanity, he examines it, he kind of takes it apart and finds the underlying issue that we all can deal with in our life experiences with family and trauma. Then he puts it back together, sets it in the actors' hands. He trusted his actors a lot. He trusted them to kind of find your way with this character. Let me just let you, I listened to a lot of interviews and he would kind of just let his actor okay, he'll tell you, I want you to do it like this. And then another take, just kind of play with it and let me see where you go. I think that's when a director gets some of the best performances is when there's that mutual trust. But for me, Demolition was very personal because my first experience with grief and loss, I wasn't grieving the way I thought I would. And when I saw Demolition, it was one of those movies that made me kind of cry about the issue for the first time because I related to his character, Jake Gyllenhaal, Dave Davis, I think. I related to him because I'm like, I feel like that's what I'm going through, acting a little odd and kind of destructing things. And yet you still haven't cried yet. There's this interesting part in the movie where Jake Gyllenhaal's in the mirror and he's trying to force himself to cry. And the little kids are like, what are you doing? But really that moment, it really connected with me on a personal level. And that movie came out during the time I experienced my loss. And I just really appreciated the way he told that story. Because that's what you want as an audience member. You want to see a film and go, I connect with that. I feel that. And you want to say, dude, how'd you take that page out of my heart, out of my brain, and just put it there? That's what you want from an author. That's what you want from a director. And he did that.
And again, when I having never met him, having not known him, obviously a little bit of a kinship, good Canadian kid and everything like that. It's just as a film fan, you feel that God, the guy who gave us Dallas Buyers Club and Wild Demolition and Big Little Lies and Sharp, we're not going to get any more from him. And he was really just getting rolling because he never found a success and then just started taking any project he could. He was always very calculated. He was always spacing out what he was doing. And I think we've really lost out a lot. So all of our thoughts and best wishes to anybody who did know Jean Vallee and the work that he did and everything, and our best thoughts and wishes to everybody. Anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on his passing, and what is your favorite project or piece of work that he did? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 2, shall we? Kim, What is our second main topic today?
This comes from Nicholas A. Despite the ongoing pandemic and Omicron variant fears, Spider-Man No Way Home has now achieved a milestone by becoming the first, this is incredible, the first movie to hit $1 billion in the COVID pandemic era. Not only that, it's also the highest grossing movie of 2021. What are your thoughts about the movie's accomplishments and the future of cinema, especially as No Way Home has yet to receive a China release?
I mean, look, we have been talking a lot lately about the success and trajectory and all this kind of stuff of Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, look, this can't be emphasized enough because I feel like even now people are overlooking this. The fact that this has hit $1 billion, it is a big deal when a new member of the $1 billion club comes along, right? Whenever there's a new member of the $1 billion club, that's a big deal. The fact that it did it so quickly, we'll talk about that a little bit more, is a big deal. The fact that it is the biggest film in the pandemic era is a big deal, but that part aside, the fact that it has done all this, joined the $1 billion club, did it as fast as it did, and all that kind of stuff, during a context in which we are still feeling the effects of the pandemic. There are still a lot of people, that Variety report told us, that have still not started going back to the movie theaters yet. That's huge. There are still a lot of places around the world where movie theaters are not open or are opened in limited capacity. Even in North America, some markets still have limited capacity. You know, some markets have their theaters closed altogether right now. And yet in the midst of all of that, and an Omicron thing and everything, in the midst of all that, Spider-Man No Way Home reaches $1 billion, joins that $1 billion club. I feel like, I don't know, Kevin Feige and some others should be there. It's kind of like the Masters of Golf. They should have a green jacket getting ready to put on John Watts. Welcome to the $1 billion club. Your film did it. Congratulations. The fact that it has done it in these circumstances is nothing short of phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And it gets even more interesting about that. Anyway, this comes to us from the folks over at Variety who write this. Spider-Man No Way Home unwrapped the best Christmas gift of all, becoming the first pandemic-era movie to cross $1 billion at the global box office. Sony's comic book epic has eclipsed that milestone in a near-record 12 days, tying with 2015 Star Wars The Force Awakens as the third fastest film to reach the $1 billion benchmark. Only 2018's Avengers Infinity War and 2019's Avengers Endgame were quicker, smashing the coveted tally in 11 and 5 days. That number's ridiculous.
That's freaking insane.
5 days.
5 days.
For Endgame. For a coveted tally in 11 and 5 days, respectively. So, again, back to this whole point of do not let this go over your head. Yay, it is the third fastest movie ever to make $1 billion. That's huge. It did it during the context that we're in, which just adds to the insanity of it all. Now, I read some opinion pieces online that raise some valid points, I get, saying, you know, Spider-Man had the advantage of being like that first true tentpole blockbuster to come out in almost 2 years. So sure it was going to, I mean, that's true. I get that. But I think that advantage is easily drowned out by the mountain of disadvantages it also had piled against it. The pandemic era, not everything is open, but the fact that it wasn't open in China and stuff like that. I just think it makes the accomplishment all the more impressive. Like all the more impressive. It is crazy what this thing has done. And get this, in its second weekend, it dropped almost 70%. It dropped 68 point something percent. Now, I did touch on this last week before the weekend. Now look, we normally say that you want your second weekend to drop somewhere between 50 and 60%. That would be considered a normal drop off from weekend 1 to weekend 2. If you can have less than a 50% drop off, that's amazing. But I said you can't apply that rule the way you normally would with a movie that would makes over like $150 million in opening weekend, because now you're talking about a movie that everybody went to go see opening weekend.
Yeah.
And in the case of Spider-Man No Way Home, you're not just talking about $150 million worth of people opening weekend. You're talking about $250 million worth of opening weekend people. So I said last week, expect a larger than normal second weekend drop off because that is normal for a film that has such a huge opening. And sure enough, Spider-Man No Way Home came in, I think like a 68.5% drop. And some people try to point at that as a negative thing. And I say, well, then you just don't understand box office. You just don't understand box office if you thought that was a big negative thing.
Yeah.
But I also want to point this out. Even with, get this, a nearly 70% drop, it still made enough money on its second weekend to be the second biggest opening weekend in the pandemic era. It still made over $80 million in its second weekend. Oh, I believe, I might be off by 1 or 2 million, but I believe only Venom 2 had a bigger opening weekend than Spider-Man No Way Home's second weekend. So yeah, it had nearly a 70% drop. Sure, but it still made over $80 million in its second weekend, which would put, if that was its opening weekend, again, that would make it, I believe, the second biggest opening in the pandemic era. That's beyond impressive. It's beyond impressive. I mean, nowhere near Endgames, but who cares? What Spider-Man No Way Home has been able to accomplish in these dark times, giving a ray of hope to movie theaters, because I'll tell you what, when Ann and I went back to theaters again, like we saw Spider-Man No Way Home again this weekend, we saw Macbeth. By the way, oh my God, the tragedy of Macbeth. Go watch it. Anyway, all other acting in the world you realize is utter shit, and you've just been thinking it's good. And then you watch Denzel Washington and Frances McDormand and Macbeth, and you're like, yeah, everything else is crap. Anyway, but we're in these movie theaters, and like, I'm thinking I'm going to grab some Reese's Pieces. Oh, no, man, we're out. You're out. Okay. Ann wants some peanut M&Ms. No, man, we're out. You're out. Okay, I'm going to get some of my Coke Zero. Oh, Coke Zero says it's out. I had to get frickin' vanilla Coke. That crap tastes horrible. Like, that sounds pretty good, but I'm telling you right now, that crap nasty. Is horrible. But it's like they had all this, like they were just short on everything. They experienced such a flood of business and so many people coming in. They were selling out of crap. Even their regular straws were out. They had to use these backup straws.
I mean, it got in and out straws.
It was in and out. Extra. Go get extra. Yeah, they went over to the McDonald's and just grabbed handfuls of napkins and brought them over. But it just, this effect of Spider-Man No Way Home has been insane. Now, Kim, in this room, there was one of us that didn't think it would hit 250, and there was one of us who thought it would hit 250. You were that person. It did. But you're seeing these total numbers now. It hits $1 billion in 12 days. 12 days.
12
tying The
days,
Force
man.
Awakens. I mean, nothing's ever going to hit Endgame. I mean, that Endgame number is never going to be matched. But, I mean, you see these. What's your first impression when you see that number hit? And what do you think the overall, what message can we take out of this, do you think?
First of all, my first thought is, well, duh. I'm like, you can't doubt it because I understand what's against it. I mean, we're not out of the woods yet with this pandemic.
No,
we're almost,
not at all.
We're actually back to some of our old habits. We're back to our masks, constantly, which some people in your area might be like, yeah, no, in our area, we were free of masks for a long time. Now we're back. I was a little worried, like, oh gosh, I'm hearing our friends in the Netherlands, was it? Where
Netherlands,
they were like,
provinces in Canada.
We can't see it till the 14th. We can't see it till here, till there. This says so much about not just the fan community, but as human beings. We don't just love movies, we love experiences.
Yeah.
We love having these moments in the theater. Is what I think's going to happen. Oh my gosh, I'm grabbing the person next to me. Oh my gosh. It's like a roller coaster. You'll stand in line for 3 hours just to have that little sector of time where you feel like you're on top of the world, and it's worth it. It's 1 billion times worth it. And so it is no surprise to me, because also as Omicron was like creeping in, I think something else we're not talking about is there was this creeping feeling of, let me get to the theater before they close it.
Yeah.
That was another thing. It wasn't just the day oneers that are like, oh, Marvel, Spider-Man, I'm day one. There was other people that became day oneers because they're like, looking behind them and on the phone to their friends that are going, girl, my theater just got crushed, going, let me get to the movies while it's open. So there are certain things with the pandemic that actually worked in Spider-Man's favor.
Right.
And I think that's another interesting thing. And also it's like we can feel the window closing. You know, I'm hearing things about school. I'm hearing a lot of things. I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer, but there's something about saying, you know what, this movie's important to me. I gotta get to the theater. And like we said before, John, our viewers, the fan community, did not buy one ticket.
No,
they did not
bought two or
buy
three.
one ticket. 2, 3, 4. How many? So many people.
Yeah.
I've seen it 3 times, you know, but we have our people that were like, hey, John, I got my ticket. And the next day.
Yeah.
And the morning and the night for that one. Have a good
29th,
day.
The 31st, the 2nd,
Come
and the 4th.
on now. Yeah.
It was huge.
I still got to see it one more time.
Oh, I
In the
thought you were
theater.
about to say,
I
still
was
gotta
gonna
see. I'm like,
say,
Ray, you do
don't
realize you
start-
saw it with me.
No, I still got to see it one more time. I wanted to see it
with us.
this past weekend, but to go off of what Kim was saying, like the Philippines don't get to see it yet.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, so there might be another uptick in the following weeks when those start opening again. Hopefully, if they could get to the theaters.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens there. But again, guys, unbelievable. It hits $1 billion in 12 days.
Wow.
12 days in the circumstances.
And now
that
it's
we're in.
right under Endgame. Is that right?
No, it's under.
Or is it-
It's under a couple of things.
Okay.
So it ties with the Force Awakens.
Okay, it tied with them.
It's
Okay.
under Infinity War and it's under Endgame.
Okay. That's where I wanted
So,
to know where it fell.
Absolutely remarkable stuff.
Nice.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this Spider-Man hitting $1 billion, joining that $1 billion club in just 12 days? Whatever you guys are feeling about it, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 3. Kim, what is our third main topic today?
Okay, guys, this is coming from Chris Herman. Hi, John. The Matrix Resurrections has released and it flopped. Last time I checked, it was getting beat out by Spider-Man No Way Home on its second week, as well as Illumination's Sing 2. This was undoubtedly due to its simultaneous release on HBO Max, as well as the mixed critic reviews. Do you think Warner Media is going to consider another movie in the Matrix franchise after this disaster? What are your thoughts?
All right, thanks a lot for saying that in, man. And yes, I remember it was a number of months ago on this show. I remember I mentioned some people wrote in. The discussion came up about how would Matrix do, and this is months and months ago. And I remember saying, I don't think Matrix is going to make 50 million on its opening weekend. I said, I don't think it's going to make 50 million on its opening week. And people thought I were crazy. They thought I was nuts.
You crazy.
They thought they were talking 100 million,
You're
whatever.
so
I said,
crazy.
look, you got to keep in mind, I think it's a little too late. I don't think that there is as much interest in the Matrix today as the hardcore movie fans think there is. And on top of that, I said, with the HBO's, day and date release, I just think it's going to hurt a lot. I don't think it's going to make 50 million. And then here we are. And it did actually much, much worse than that. As we come over to take a look at what Matrix actually did. Officially, its opening weekend is $12 million. That's the official opening weekend number. Now, that does not take into account the Wednesday and early Thursday screenings. Because remember, Matrix didn't open officially on a Friday like most movies normally do. It opened officially on a Wednesday. So when you take in those extra days that other movies don't get, but when you take in those extra days that even with a couple of extra days added on, Matrix has only managed to pull in 22.5 million. With those extra days, a movie called The Matrix only made 22.5 with extra days. In comparison, it's unfair to try to compare it to Spider-Man No Way Home. That's unfair. But you know what else opened this weekend? Little animated film called Sing 2. The first Sing was not beloved. The first Sing had good ratings. It had critic ratings in the 70s. The audience ratings were in the 70s. It was liked. People liked it. I didn't think it was all that great, but it was okay. Sing 2, which does not come with a huge pedigree, made, I think, $43 million in the same, about double of what Matrix made in the same time frame from the Wednesday on. Now, of course, it didn't also have an HBO release, right? But before everybody starts rushing to make excuses for why Matrix did so badly, so, oh, but it had HBO. Oh, it was based on an old IP that people liked. Oh, it was. Before we do that, let's just remind ourselves of a couple things. Suicide Squad opened bigger than Matrix did, and Suicide Squad had the exact same circumstances. There still weren't a lot of people going back to movie theaters. It was released on HBO Max on the same day, and it made 26. And that was coming off of another Suicide Squad movie that most people didn't like. Mm-hmm. And it still made more money. Mortal Kombat, which is not that good, but it had the exact same circumstances. It got released when not a lot of people were going back to the movie theaters. It was being released on HBO on the same day, and Mortal Kombat made more money than Matrix 4 did with the same circumstances. Halloween Kills, released when not a lot of people going to the movie theaters. It was being released on streaming on the exact same day that it was released in theaters, just like Matrix did. It made $49 million. And remember, that 26, 23, and 49 million of Suicide Squad, Mortal Kombat, and Halloween Kills, that's without the extra days that Matrix had. Matrix's actual opening weekend number is 12 million. But we're going to give it the 21 million. We're going to give it the benefit of the doubt of the 21, 22 million, even with the extra days counted. Suicide Squad beat it without those extra days. Mortal Kombat beat it without those extra days. Halloween Kills slaughtered it without those extra days. Okay, well, let's look at another film franchise that's based on a much older IP that maybe was beyond its time. Ghostbusters. Now, Ghostbusters did not get a streaming day and date release, but still, it made $44 million. Then you look at a movie like Free Guy that even I, as a huge Ryan Reynolds fan, didn't think looked all that great. It made $28 million without the extra days that Matrix 4 had. So you can try to make all the excuses that we want about why Matrix didn't do so good. Other movies without that pedigree, iconic name of Matrix attached to it, with fewer opening days than Matrix had, still being released on streaming the exact same day, and they all beat Matrix. And it's just something you can't get away from. Now, I want us to look at what does this teach us? As we're going to jump into the Campea classroom for a second. What does this teach us? What does these results teach us about what are the life lessons we can take away with us looking at the results of Matrix getting what it did? Number one, it's official. The Warner Brothers HBO day and date release strategy was an utter disaster. It was a phenomenal, moronic disaster. As you run down through, the only film they had that had a monochrome of a glimmer of maybe a little bit of success was Godzilla vs. Kong. Now, it, of course, had the advantage of being the first movie really to come out, the first kind of high-profile name movie to come out. And I remember the three of us went to go see that at the movie theaters. The three of us ran out to watch Godzilla vs. Kong. Yeah, it had a little bit of a glimmer of success. I think it was in the $30 million range, somewhere in the 30s that it made opening weekend, something like that. But everything else, Mortal Kombat, I mean, not a great movie, but it has some name there. Suicide Squad has name. Matrix has name. There's just no getting around it. This move by Warner Brothers this year has cost that company in the hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars when you go through all their list of releases. So that's the one lesson we take away here from the Matrix results, was that it's official. The strategy was a disaster. Secondly, their other takeaway is this. There wasn't nearly the amount of interest in another Matrix movie that the hardcore fan community thought there was. Again, going back several months when we started talking about what's going to be the box office potential of a Matrix, and we were all like, well, a lot of people thinking 100 million, 120 million. Obviously, there are going to be some fans that guess outrageous numbers like 200 million, whatever. But the fact is, it only made 12 million and 22 if you're going to be honest. Now, some people say, well, of course, it was during Spider-Man's second weekend. No movie, somebody said to me on Twitter today, no movie can have any success on Spider-Man's second weekend. Really? Because there was a little movie called Sing 2 that made double what Matrix did. made in the 40s, which is actually a pretty decent, respectable number, and it was against Spider-Man. And families are going to see Spider-Man, and yet they went to go see Sing 2. That Matrix is a little bit different, a little bit of a different demographic. I get that's true too. But I just think it teaches us a lesson that no matter how much the hardcore movie fan audience thought Matrix was going to be, because the name was going to draw this huge audience, we now know it didn't. The third takeaway we get from it is this. And this is a tough one, but I think it's true. We got to look at this. Keanu Reeves may be the most beloved and awesome actor in Hollywood right now, but that doesn't mean he's a box office draw. I mean, even when you look at the John Wick films, the first John Wick worldwide made $86 million. John Wick 2 worldwide made $171 million. John Wick 3, the third film in the trilogy, made good money, but not exactly world-breaking blockbuster. It made $327 million. I love John Wick 3, by the way. It's my favorite of the franchise. But then you look at a couple of other movies that he did post John Wick 2. He did Replicas.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Either you guys want to take a guess at how much Replicas made?
$8 million.
You're guessing 8 million, Ray?
13.
You're both close. Made $9 million at the box office.
Why am I so amazing?
Then he did that one with Anna de Armas. Remember the one he did where it was, what was it
Knock
called?
Knock.
Yes, Knock Knock. That's the name of it. Where he plays his husband who's home alone.
Free pizza.
Yeah, and
It was free pizza.
and these two sexy teenage girls knock on his door, and it turns into a thriller. I think that movie made like $2 million or something like it. But
What about that cameo in the Netflix movie that we all adore?
Always Be My
Always
Maybe.
Be My
Yeah.
Maybe.
I loved him in Always Be My
Yeah,
Maybe.
that's
He's
the
so
key.
good.
I know
your
we want to
thighs.
see.
I miss your eyes. I miss your eyebrows. I miss your tongue.
He's so good in that. Listen, Keanu Reeves is awesome. He is probably the most beloved Hollywood star right now.
Yeah.
And well-deservedly so. He's awesome. But he's not a big box office draw. And that's many great actors are not exactly big box office draws. You cast them because they make your movie better. And I think Keanu Reeves makes your movie better these days. But he's not a big box office draw. So I think those are some of the key takeaways from that. But I want to also offer a little bit of hope. I want to offer some hope to some people. Because not all is doom and gloom with Matrix. I want to offer, because I am a happy, sunshine, glass half full kind of guy, damn it.
Yes,
Totally
you
and
are.
completely.
Totally.
I always
John.
look on the bright side.
Yes, you do. Totally.
Without
John.
any doubt.
Never say
100%.
I'm not totally a bright side guy. Because I want to look at, here, there are some reasons that a fan of the Matrix should have some hope here. Okay? And here's the first one. Spider-Man will die down. I know it doesn't feel like it right now, but at some point, Spider-Man, look, it already dropped almost 70%. Everybody's seen it now, and it's still going to make good money in its third and fourth week, but there's not a lot of high-profile stuff coming out in the next couple of weeks. There's the 355. We've got Scream coming out in a couple of weeks. That's not going to do much of the box office either. So as Spider-Man starts to die down, I think you're going to see some people going, okay, that was awesome. We had a great time watching Spider-Man. What should we go see next? Oh, you know what? Matrix open. We didn't get to see it yet. I think that gives Matrix some hope of picking up maybe some legs. So Spider-Man dying down. The second one is this. Free Guy made just, like we said earlier, 28 million opening weekend and went on to make 331 million. Now, is this Free Guy? No. Also, Free Guy made 28 million in just the proper 3-day opening weekend. Matrix did not, but still, and this is the rare exception, but Free Guy made just 28 million, which is more than Matrix, and it went on to make 331 million. Now, am I saying that I think Matrix is going to go on to make 331 million? No. I don't think it's going to make that much. But could the possibility be there that it can rise from the ashes likened unto the phoenix and come out of the squalor of box office flopdom and actually make some decent money? It is possible, because again, I think once Spider-Man dies down a bit, people are going to start looking for what else we want to go see. The understanding that Free Guy in this era didn't have the greatest opening, but was able to have legs track. Now, one of the things that Free Guy had going for it that Matrix does not is that people liked it.
Yeah.
And when I say people, I mean more people liked it. It had bigger critic ratings, had bigger audience ratings. You had people coming out of Free Guy going, "Oh my God, you got to go see this." And while Matrix 4 definitely has its fans, it has positive critic and audience ratings. I think they're both in the 60s. So they're both positive. I hated it, but I mean, it is in the positives. I think you can see. So do I think all is lost for the Matrix? No, not all is lost. I don't personally think it's going to end up being great or doing all that well. But if you're a fan of Matrix 4 and you watched it and you liked it and you're looking for some hope that it could recover financially, I think there are some very good reasons to believe that it could. Whether it will or not, don't know. We'll have to see. I don't know. Kim, you're seeing these numbers. Are you surprised by how low the numbers are? Do you think this thing could see a turnaround? What are you thinking right now?
I'm surprised it did that well.
That well? Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
12 million. I'm surprised at that number. And look, I don't say this lightly because I recognize that so many people work on films. They pour their blood, sweat, tears, time away from their family into films. I don't want to be disrespectful to the film. As you know, it wasn't for me. I did finish watching it after my sock drawer was perfectly organized. I did finish the film because I am a true cinephile. But you know what? I disagree with you on what you were saying, how Free Guy, he did well. What Free Guy had was word of mouth, was people seeing,
absolutely.
was
Yeah.
people seeing the trailer and going, I kind of don't know what the hell this is about, especially people that don't game. And then having friends and family see it and be very surprised delightfully and tell their friends, hey, I know you don't get it, but this Free Guy thing, you guys got to check it out. We had such a good time. It's actually really funny. You guys got to go. Because some people say, don't let the critics sway you. Every friend, family, sister, brother, person has a personal critic in their pocket called friends and family. And those people can sway you in or out of a movie. I've tried to get my sister and her fiance to go with me to stuff. And they're like, no, we heard from so-and-so, a friend of ours that we trust, that it was trash. So we're not going to see it with you. And I'm like, come on, guys. But somebody that they trust as their own, personal critic didn't like it. Matrix is not going to have good word of mouth. You have people
Not to the degree that Free Guy
not to
did.
the degree
Yeah.
that Free Guy, because you know what? Not everyone feels like me. Some people feel like it was great, and you know what? Good for you. Didn't work for me, but good for you. I feel like there's going to be more people saying, hey, brother, sister, brother-in-law, if you're going to spend some money, go see Nightmare Alley. If you're going to spend some money, go see Macbeth. If you're going to spend some money, you know what? Just take the kids and go see Sing. I think you're going to have a lot of talk against seeing it. I don't think it's going to do well at all. And I don't say that lightly because I don't want people to, lose money on things that they worked hard for. But I just don't believe this will do much better at all.
Yeah, and by the way, it should be mentioned here that the box office struggles of Matrix, that does not mean the movie's bad. I mean, I don't like it. You don't like it. We know a bunch of people that didn't, a bunch of people that did. It doing badly at the box office doesn't mean it's a bad film. I mean, hell, the best film of the year, in my opinion, easily the best film of the year is West Side Story.
Yeah.
And that did horrible at the box
Yeah.
office. Of course, I've been predicting all year that it would do horrible at the box office, but it did horrible at the box
Yeah.
office.
And in hindsight,
But it's the best movie of the year.
many of the films that we now consider to be cult classics, if you look back the year they came out, they didn't do well.
Shawshank didn't do great
Yeah.
when it came out, and it might be one of the greatest films ever made by man.
Exactly. So
So again, yeah, just because Matrix isn't doing well, that does not quantifiably means that
Yeah.
Matrix is a bad movie. Not at all. The best movie of the year did worse than Matrix.
I hope for them the
Yeah,
positive. I hope for them the positive. But in terms of my opinion, I just don't think it's going to do much better.
Yeah.
yeah. So you guys don't even think that once the Spider-Man stuff dies down, that people are going to go back and see that?
The thing is, I think Matrix is one of those movies where if you were going to see it in theater, you would have already. Like,
Right,
it's not something, and plus there are people that consider safety. This is one of the things that are movies that is going to be affected by that. What do I want to risk, like going to the theater right now?
Right.
No Way Home beat a lot of people's fears.
People were like,
Yeah.
I could
Yeah.
get sick.
But something like the Matrix, you gotta be like, do I really want to risk it for this movie? And I'm not saying anything bad about The Matrix. I haven't seen it yet. Twice I've asked people to put it on, like even here at this house, and I got laughed at both times. So now I think I'm just gonna wait for it to get on TNT or TBS.
Yeah.
I'll wait it out.
It's on HBO.
I know, but
It's not going to be on TV.
Getting myself pumped to actually press play on that, it would have to be one that's on TV. So it'll be a while till I give you a review for Matrix Resurrection.
In 2025, Ray Orr's movie review channel. We're talking about Matrix.
The greatest movie ever.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this and the box office results we've got for Matrix? I mean, listen, it's not a referendum on the quality of the film, but it has struggled. Why do you think it has struggled as much as it did? Why couldn't it do as well under similar circumstances as, say, Mortal Kombat or Suicide Squad or whatever? Or why did it get beat by double by Sing 2? Whatever you guys are feeling or thinking, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. I want to mention one thing before we go into our main questions here today. Tomorrow on the John Campea Show, we're going to be doing a little game of over and under. And Ray and Kim are going to be competing against each other, each representing one of our viewers. And we have a giveaway tomorrow that we're really excited about. You know, we love The Office around here, and we have a Funko. There it is. Michael Scott with Michael Scott's Office thing that we're going to give away to one of our viewers tomorrow. So, yeah, oh, that looks so good. So that's going to be given away to one of you guys, and that's going to be something we're going to be doing tomorrow. So keep your guys' eyes open for that little giveaway we're going to do on the show tomorrow. All right, guys. With all that down, let's now move on and start taking your comments, thoughts, and opinions that you guys who are watching live, and only if you're watching live, have been sending into the super chat here in the live chat. If you're watching live and you still want to get in a comment to be read on today's show, you got a couple of minutes left to get it in, because then we're going to shut the super chat down. So you got a few more minutes to get those in. But anyway, Kim, what do we got over there?
All right. Our first super chat comes from Anthony B. He says, well, since Kim's dream of Matthew McConaughey being in No Way Home was a bust, there was a guy with brown hair and an accent, so I'm not sold. I'm not
take it as a win. Take it as a win.
I will not need her Swami link. However, I will take them digits, though. Love you guys.
Well, thank you so much, Anthony. Yeah. That was an outside guess, though. That was an outside. You weren't guaranteeing that Matthew McConaughey was going to be there.
I thought you meant digits like the how I won the 250.
No.
Because I was like, I won the 250.
Okay, next.
Next. All right, what's next?
Oh my God. Casey Max says, watching that new trailer, it seems to me that the Riddler already knows Bruce Wayne is Batman. We could be looking too much into it.
No. They made that very clear. Bruce Wayne. It's like, he knows. He knows.
Wait, hold on.
Absolutely.
Somebody used to babysit him and did not have a good experience and back for more.
I had a question. Is the Riddler the guy with the tape on his face? Is that him in the trailer?
So. No,
Okay.
not with the tape
that.
on it.
Oh, no, I thought there was another shot of one of them standing with tape on. It might have been
No,
just
he's got
another
some kind
background.
of mask
Oh,
on
okay.
or whatever. Yeah. All right, what's next?
Jack Master Norrid said, I saw Matrix and really enjoyed it.
Hey, look, that's the great thing about these movies, man. I mean, just because some of us don't like it doesn't mean you don't like it. I mean, there's a lot of movies that I love that most people hate. There's a lot of movies that I hate that most people love. I mean, that's totally good, and I'm glad you enjoyed it, Jack. All right, what's next?
Pretty Cyber says, E-Man Reviews was on Good Day LA trying to save T'Challa and recast him. Interesting.
Who was it that was on there?
Iman Reviews?
I don't know who that is off the top of my head, but that's okay. Go ahead. By the way, your camera went out, unfortunately.
Mine?
So, yeah, I'm going to have to get it back up.
No.
But for now, go ahead and read the next question.
Alrighty, this is coming from Dalton Gray. Just saw Spider-Man for the third time. It holds up in my opinion. Have you all had a great holiday?
You answer that first for me.
Yes, we had a great holiday. Kim and Ray, you're the best, and John, you're the man.
How come we always have to be just the best? Can we be the man or the woman too?
We're the team.
I know, we're the team right here.
We're the dopeness. And yeah, we had a great holiday. My nephew made his first 3-layer cake and
it
used
looked great.
fondant and decorated it all crazy. And how was your holiday?
It looked fantastic. Well, just family. That's it.
Huh.
Nothing too out of the ordinary.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed the holiday. I really did. Just had
Wonderful.
family and everything. It was really good. All right,
Wonderful.
what's next?
James Marquez says, wife and I loved Matrix. Rewatched trilogy immediately before watching. All details fit perfectly within the Matrix universe with no retcons.
Okay, you're absolutely wrong about that, James.
No retcons?
That's cool. I mean, if you liked it, that's awesome. I'm glad you liked it. Oh, it had
say there were no
many
retcons.
retcons. I mean, it's significant retcons. It absolutely did. But I mean, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't like it. I got a lot of sequel movies and everything that I like a lot that definitely has some retcons going on in it, and that's perfectly fine. But there are definitely retcons in there. All right, what's next?
Sean Patinod says, been a little while. Love you guys. Am I the only one Peter gets his new apartment?
Okay, we're gonna switch. Skip over that.
Okay. Al Renshaw says, Leafs blow 3-1. Lead thanks to your short shirt.
I mean, listen, I remember.
Did you guys lose again?
I think he's referring to the series they had against the Bruins or the Canadians. I mean, they had a 3-1 lead against the Canadians.
And you wore a shirt on that show?
I don't know if I wore the shirt on that show or not. That was one of the most brutal, heartbreaking moments ever. All right, what's next?
Jack Master Nord says, No Way Home almost ruined because of crying babies.
Again, I have no problem with people bringing in their babies to a movie. I have no problem with that. What I do expect, though, is that a parent takes the responsibility that if your baby starts to get fussy, then I'm okay with that. If the baby gets a little bit fussy and you want to give it a second to see if it calms down, I'm good with that.
I'm good with that.
But once it becomes clear that your baby's not settling down right now, you got to be responsible and stand up and walk out of the theater. Well, I paid my money to see that movie. So did the 75 other people in here. And your, I'm sure, adorable, beautiful baby right now is just in everybody else's eyes a little piece of shit and is ruining the movie for everybody. I respect that, but you got to get up and take them out. And guess what? Then if the baby settles down, come on back in. So I'm not one of these people who's like, oh, they brought a baby. No, that's fine with me. That's cool.
And there's mom times too.
Yeah.
Like when the boys were little, I discovered this, and by boys I mean nephews, and I would take them to they'll show The Matrix only for moms or dads at 11 o'clock, and it's all strollers in there. You can sit through the whole 2 hours and not take your baby out because I'll go to this camera because it's just for parents. So you don't have to feel the shame of my baby's crying, she's hungry. You can feed in there. You can be on the floor and play a little. We had some moms that were on the floor with some toys. So there is a place for you if you feel like you have no options. But yeah, be considerate, dude.
Yeah,
but both of you guys are wrong on this. You literally read that question wrong. He meant crying babies, not as in literally babies, but the man babies in there crying. Like those guys who can't keep it together. Stop crying, you little babies.
You're so
All right, what's next?
Oh my gosh, Ray. Sam Fisher says Flash was able to get his book published because it is very clear from Far From Home that he comes from a wealthy family. Maybe his parents own a publishing house.
No, that is not something that would influence a place like MIT. That doesn't make sense. That's in reference to a tweet I put out, but I won't go into specifics right now. All right, what's next?
Renee Pedraza says, Hey, John, Ray, and Kim, your show has helped me so much this month, especially right now since me and my family caught COVID. Thank you all so much. Oh, get better.
Yeah, get better
Fight
soon.
It, man.
Bunker down.
That is happening a lot too. Not just
man.
sports players everywhere. It's going around again.
Yeah, a lot of teams are short. Yeah, just take care of yourself there, Renee. Thanks for sharing. We're glad you could be here with us. All right, what's next?
Excuse me.
Oh,
Sean...
next.
Huh?
Next.
Yeah.
After that.
Oh, yeah. So I coughed. Sorry. Sean.
No, next. After that.
Oh, got confused. Upcoming movie about search engine says.
No, skip that because I don't want my Google going off.
Oh.
All right, next.
Al Renshaw says Matrix relied on nostalgia and didn't do anything new. The original was innovative and wowed, but this new one was mostly complete ass. I'm so sorry, but it kind of was.
I don't mind the nostalgia bit. Just do it well. I don't think it was bad because it relied a lot on nostalgia. You can rely a lot on nostalgia and still do it well. And I just felt personally like it just didn't execute it well. All right, what's next?
But I do want a cat named Deja Vu, though.
Oh,
Kate-
yes.
And I love
So every
ass
time he
movies.
walks by the
And I love
kitchen, I
ass
never know if
movies.
it's the first time.
Is that what you said? I love ass movies.
I don't know what he's talking about, but ass movies are fine to me.
Those are great. What are you complaining about? All right, what's next?
Casey Mack says, is it March yet? No, damn it. Oh, well, I guess I can wait. Can't wait for the Batman trailer. Looked great.
Oh my God, did it ever look great? Like, and again, it kind of came out of nowhere.
I love when they come out of nowhere.
Yeah, I was like, I was not expecting this.
I
It's
love
like,
that.
bang, right there, just continuing it up.
You know, we didn't see much gadgets from him in that trailer, huh?
No, I mean,
Like,
he's got-
other than
Batman
his
is known for
fit-
gadgets.
he's got his traditional like grappling one that he
Right.
shoots out, but other than
I
that,
just
not
realized we didn't see any of like the shooting star.
much. I
or
don't
whatever.
think they're going to go heavy.
Yeah,
to that.
they
I
might
think
not
they're
do
gonna
that.
stick
No.
more gritty in this
Yeah.
one.
We
All right.
saw a hammer fist and straight to the
Yep.
throat. That
Yep.
was it.
All right, what's
Mark Kotor sends in a $20 super chat.
Thank you, Mark.
Good morning, John. Love your show. Watched
Thank you.
Matrix Resurrections first night and thought it was decent, not great. Part of me wished Neo chose to stay in the Matrix world as John Wick. LOL. Take care.
That would be a movie I'd go to see. I would totally go to see that. Again, I don't want to go into real big details on it, but again, the one detail I've given away, and in case you haven't seen the movie, here's 15 seconds of a very unimportant spoiler because it's in the first act of the film that kind of sets up the movie. The moment this movie started with, wait a minute, now he's a video game designer who did the 3 Matrix movies as video games, and now Warner Brothers is making him do new films. I'm like, I'm out. It's like a part of me mentally just checked out at that
My dad
point.
walked out of the room when that happened.
Oh, really?
I said, come on, Dad, I got to finish this movie. We're going to have some father-daughter time. I love you, but I'm gonna just leave.
I'm just gonna check it out. Okay, all right. All right. Thanks for writing that in, Mark. And Mark, thanks for supporting our channel on that level, man. We appreciate that. All right, what's next?
Waleed Haji says, what
What
are
are?
the chances the Batman makes 1 billion?
It's all okay. It does not have the same hype energy going into it that say Spider-Man No Way Home did. So what it would have to do, like, I don't think it's going to open. I don't think anybody thinks it's going to open as big as Spider-Man No Way Home did. Maybe not even close. But it can make $1 billion. But it's going to completely rely on word of mouth, reviews, all that kind of stuff that is going to make it have legs. It has to have that, and it has to have a slightly improved context and scenario, the pandemic and everything that we have right now. If it does, it can do it. It can. But until I see it, I can't really give a prediction to think of whether I think I will, but I definitely think it has a shot. All right, what's next?
Josie Reviews says, there's no sun in Gotham, but it's always sunny in Philadelphia.
There's got to be a shirt on that. There is no sun in Gotham. There's no sun in Gotham. I love that. All right, what's next?
Mr. Hank Dunn says, I really hope Batman has some supernatural elements. I want to see characters like Man-Bat, Clayface, and Ivy.
I 100% disagree with you. I am actually feeling like I don't mind getting back to, because it's been a lot of years since the Christopher Nolan Batman films. And I'm totally in the mood to let's get back. Now, don't get me wrong. I love all that stuff in the animated stuff and in his in the comics. Absolutely. But let's get back a little bit to that Christopher Nolan style where it's, I mean, this is clearly different from Nolan's, but has the same thing. This happens in the real world. This is about Batman trying to take back the soul of his city. From Ray, I love the way you described it. I mean, this Gotham just feels like a dangerous place to be.
Yeah, don't go
And
there.
and he's fighting that, and I am ready to go back to that right now. I'm ready for now. Don't get me wrong. Look, in the DCEU, you can have your Batman there, whoever that Batman's going to be, Michael Keaton, and whoever else is going to be Batman, and those things. You can do that, and you can have all the supernatural elements. Make this one be a little bit more distinct. Make this one feel more grounded.
Was this supposed to be a one-off? I don't know if there's any news of any follow-up to this. I know it's supposed to be outside of the
Yeah.
DCEU.
Other than Joker, there's no such thing as a one-off in the comic book movie world. I don't think so.
I'm just saying, maybe the $1 billion thing. You think it will hurt it that it's not a part of a shared universe?
Yes. Yeah. The fact that it's not a sequel or part of a connected shared universe, that will work against it. That's why I don't think it can have the opening
Exactly
that, say,
what I was
Spider-Man
thinking,
does. All right, what's next?
Downwell says, do you think the Batman has Oscar potential like the Joker?
Haven't seen the movie. Can't say. I mean, every movie coming out, between now and then. Hell, the damn Sesame Street movie that's coming out in a couple of weeks, that has Oscar potential. Every movie has Oscar potential until you've seen it, so we'll have to wait and see. But look, I do know this. It's got world-class performers. It's got a world-class director, so who knows? But it's got as good a chance as anything else right now. All right, what's next?
Casey Mack says, well, I don't think Batman was out in the sun in his other movies, except maybe in The Dark Knight Rises.
Right.
But Ray, you pointed out, what was the word you used?
I said this is very sepia tone.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot
so
of sepia tones in this. This is, I mean, look, this is where, you know, the color palette you choose goes a long way into setting the atmosphere and the feel of your movies. Zack Snyder is known for that. Some like that, some don't, whatever. And I'm sure some are going to like and not like that they're doing in this, but I believe they are choosing a color palette to really give that feel. And whether that works effectively or not, we'll wait till we see in the movie. All right, what's next?
Chips Bewick says, Ray Ora presents The Batman, No Sun in Gotham. The Batman, From Love to Violence. The Batman, Everybody's Back is Broken.
And The Batman, Twilight Part 8. so
Oh, God.
I love Batman, From Love to Violence. That is actually, you know what? That's the name of a comic right there.
I know it is like a little
Batman
graphic
from
novel.
Love, yes, From Love to Violence. All right,
You're
what's
calling.
next?
Roy L says, what do you think about Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man versus Tom Hardy's Venom?
I don't know what you mean. Like, how do I like Andrew Garfield's Venom versus or Spider-Man versus how much I like Tom Hardy's Venom?
Well, Venom would kill that Spider-Man.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. This
Venom.
I mean, Venom is Venom, but this Spider-Man fought Electro. Like, I mean, I don't know. All right, what's next?
Downwell says, so in my area around 2016 to 2017, there used to be movie featurettes about 2 minutes played before the movie started. What happened to them? I love them.
I don't recall that at all.
What area are you
We
in?
still get them.
I wonder if they're in Europe.
Our movie.
What did we get?
Like the 2-minute featurettes, like sometimes it's like I can't remember the last one, but they still play. Not maybe 2 minutes, maybe like a minute. I don't know. I can't really remember, but I remember there's a featurette that was in a trailer, and it talked about something. I don't
like. I know the movie. I think it's what it's called. Like if your movie says if the supposed start time of your movie is 7 p.m., obviously then a half-hour trailer starts at 7 p.m. But if you're in your theater before 7 p.m., they always have these pre-shows. Like, and I think it's Nuvi or whatever else plays this stuff, and they'll show a lot of like featurettes and things about upcoming stuff. But I'm not quite sure what Down the Well's talking about.
Oh yeah, I remember. There's that one guy. They showed a featurette of that one guy on the boat. He was a millionaire. It was like an indie movie.
Of Matthew McConaughey and
no, and the two girls were in, I forgot
a
what it's
video
called.
game one, right?
There was one with Kristen Wiig too. They showed a featurette of
I
where
do
she
not
was
recall.
like with some other girl, and they were like it was a comedy, and they're on the beach or something.
I have no recollection.
Okay,
of
never
that.
mind.
Bargain
All right,
Star?
I'm just speaking out of my butt
let's
right
move
now.
on.
Guillaume Labelle says, so sad to hear about Jean-Marc's
Yeah.
passing at a young age. He directed my all-time favorite French-Canadian film, Crazy.
Crazy. That's right.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah, again, we've become accustomed, especially it feels like a lot lately, we've lost some really big icons and legends, but we were also able to celebrate a long life lived well, but it just felt like this guy was taken way too early. Again, we
So
don't know
much
any of the
more.
details, but it's really sad to hear. All right, what's next?
Zaid Habjuka says, hi, John. Saw No Way Home twice. I have to admit, it's much better on the second viewing. Sometimes this happens to me. Need multiple viewings to absorb the movie.
Yeah, that happens sometimes. I am sort of the same, but sort of opposite. Like the things I liked about the movie, like on my second viewing, the things I liked about the movie, I liked even more. And the things I didn't like about the movie stood out to me a little bit more. It's almost like overall, the good and the bad to me, the experience was heightened a little bit. But yeah, so I totally get what you're saying about that. All right, what's next?
John Redcorn says, Dune, Conjuring, GVK were the only profitable films for WB this year. I guess Space Jam and Matrix were right. WB are the true villains. What a failure.
And listen, Dune, it did okay. Like I was looking at the box office for it just a while ago. Let me bring it up here again for a second. So Dune actually ended up doing, it still did under 400 million. It still did under 400 million. This is a movie that could have cracked 600 or 700 million.
That I blame on WB.
See,
like,
and here's
completely.
the thing. It doesn't not matter how many people watched it on HBO. That's irrelevant. That doesn't make a single cent for HBO.
No.
What matters is first viewing numbers. Now, we talked about this when Sex and the City came out, the latest Sex and the City. Sex and the City broke the record for HBO of first views. What that means is the first thing somebody watches once they subscribed. That's really your indicator. See, that's what Warner Brothers wants for HBO. They want new subscribers signing up to watch it specifically. The numbers this year have shown across the board, the movies debuting day and date have had very little impact. Not My Beloved Suicide Squad, not Dune, one of the best films of the year, not Zack Snyder's Justice League, not Godzilla. Godzilla vs. Kong did a little bit of a thing because it was the first big time they did it. Not the Denzel Washington, Jared Leto murder mystery movie that I can't remember the name of it right now.
The Little Things.
None of them made much of a splash on first viewing numbers, which meant not many people signed up because that movie was debuting in HBO Max. They did for Sex and the City. That was huge, but it just hasn't been there. So all these millions of dollars, listen, I'm telling you right now, HBO would have done better if these films had all been given proper full theatrical releases, had success in the theaters, and then 45 days later saying, now on HBO, the critical hit Suicide Squad, now in HBO. I guarantee you the HBO numbers would have been better had they not been given day and date release. And I think the statistics are starting to prove that.
100%,
All right,
yeah.
what's next?
Sam Sprill says, hey guys, all I'm going to say is the Batman.
The Batman looks awesome. All right, what's next?
Jim X Mafia says, hey, John and crew, the new Batman trailer's dynamic.
And no, it's a very good word. It is dynamic because it has a range. It goes from a mystery, intense action,
romance.
Romance. It truly is a dynamic trailer. It's fantastic. All right, what's next?
Iconic Reaction says, hey guys, so I'm still seeing people being concerned about Batman being PG-13. And I keep thinking to myself, have y'all not seen the violence in 2002 Spider-Man? Had it in the end? It was brutal. No worries.
Okay, pretty much universally, obviously there are exceptions. Universally, everybody agrees the greatest Batman films are probably the Christopher Nolan Batman films. Some people consider The Dark Knight to be the greatest comic book movie of all time. Some people consider The Dark Knight to be one of the greatest movies of all time. PG-13. Batman should not be rated R. It doesn't need to be rated R. And these trailers show a world that if you can, and a lot of people forget, you can get away with a hell of a lot of stuff. Yeah, there's, I mean, maybe not a ton of blood and no titties. Okay. Is that what you need? Is that what you need to be in a Batman movie? Is that what? Yeah, I just will never understand for the life of me anybody who feels like, well, you know, to really make a good Batman should be rated R. So you think that would make the movie better? To me, it's a ridiculous concept. All right, what's next?
Bat Talk says, holy hell, John. The new Batman trailer just dropped. Most anticipated or 2022?
Probably meant of 2022. It's right up there. I'd have to sit down with a big list of all the movies coming out in 2022. But I'd be hard pressed to find one that I'm more looking forward to than the Batman. I mean, I would be hard pressed. All due respect to Thor: Love and Thunder is still coming out in 2022, right? It wasn't pushed to 2023. For whatever. All due respect to Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, which I cannot wait to see. All due respect to Thor: Love and Thunder, which I am crazy about seeing. But I honestly think the Batman is my most anticipated film of the year. All right, what's next?
Victor Vodka says, who's in charge of the marketing for the Batman film? Because they have been killing it with these trailers.
Yeah, Warner Brothers is in charge of the marketing. Now, who is their trailer house that they're using? I don't know. But their trailer house is doing a great job assembling these trailers. I mean, fantastic. And Warner Brothers overall has been doing a great job of marketing this film. And we are now less than 3 months away from when it's supposed to come out. And I'm ready for it to come out right now. All right, what's next?
Cinema Guy says, the success of Spidey shows we don't need China.
Well, what do you mean by need? What do you mean by that? Because if you don't think that Spider-Man would have had a couple $100 more million in his bank account right now, then you're crazy. It would have. So what do you mean by need? I mean, every movie needs to make as much as it can. Because not only does it finance its upcoming films, it finances other films, even smaller to mid-budget films, coming up in that studio slate. So, yeah, it does need it. Can we survive without it? Absolutely. but you do kind of need it. You do. And there have been many, many movies that have proved that some movies need it more than others. But Spider-Man can still have great success without it, but it would have been more successful had it had a Chinese release. But I mean, look, that's just the reality. China is not allowing a lot of US movies to play in their markets right now. And so be it. And that's fine. But yeah, don't think for a second that it wouldn't have done better, even better, had it gotten that Chinese release. And some movies, the difference between breaking even or being a money-losing movie came down to China. And listen, if China's their own country, if they don't want to let US films in, fine, I don't care. But I mean, if I was financing the movies, I would probably care. But there's that. All right, what's next?
Crashing Coyote says, because of the Spider-Man Venom Ghostbuster success, Sony had a good 2021.
Yes, they did.
I guarantee they greenlight an Uncharted 2, even if it's poorly received.
Well, I mean, it really all depends on how. I mean, look, I'll tell you right now, they are planning on doing 5 Uncharted movies. I mean, that's the plan. But as Mike Tyson said, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth. If Uncharted 2 opens to bad word of mouth and a Matrix kind of box office opening, whatever plans they had for Uncharted 2 are going to get shelved pretty much right away. They're not into throwing away money. So, yeah, but listen, I personally think Uncharted is going to be great. I don't know that. I won't know till I see it, obviously. But right now, I have good expectations for Uncharted. I think the trailers have been a lot of fun. All right, what's next?
Arturo Castro says, I'm not sure how much AMC had to pay out of pocket for me using those 3 movies a week for No Way Home. I've seen it 6 times. I can't imagine for everyone else.
Okay, so basically, here's the basics of how that works. With whether you're a Regal Unlimited member or an AMC A-list member, whatever. Every time you use your movie membership to go see a movie, the movie theater counts it as a $10 movie ticket, give or take a couple of cents. Because whatever the national average is for a movie ticket, the movie theater counts it as that sale of a ticket. And then based on that, they remit back to the distributors whatever percentage they're supposed to get based on a $10 ticket. So even if the ticket you would have bought would have been a $15 ticket, they still count it as a $10 ticket. Even if the ticket you would have bought would have been a $7 matinee ticket, they still count it as a $10 ticket. And so, roughly 6.5 of those dollars goes back to the distributor. So every time you use it, the movie theater has to send $6.5 off to the movie distributors. So if you use it 6 times, well, that means about $36, $37, $38, $39, $40 they had to send back on your behalf. So that's basically, I'm oversimplifying it. There's more details to it than that, but that just gives you the basic idea. All right, what's next?
Josh Randall 85 says, Matrix Resurrections is meh. It doesn't push boundaries of special effects forward like the first one did. Too many cheesy nods to itself and love can overcome anything moments.
I agree with everything you just said. Now, there's only so much further visual effects can be pushed. That's the reality. The only other boundary left to cross is the uncanny valley. That's it. Making actual, realistic, believable, full CGI human characters. That's the last frontier. Everything else, look, ships all look 100% real now in almost every movie. Explosions look 100% real in almost every movie. Even CGI non-human characters practically look 100% real in almost every movie. Look at Thanos, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah, crazy.
So there's not really much more innovating to be done. The only last thing, we've seen it all. The only last thing there is now is breaking the uncanny valley. So we'll see how that goes. But everything else you mentioned there, Josh, I kind of agree with you, brother. I kind of agree with you. All right, what's next?
Folsom 53 says, love the show. Hope you had a great Christmas. I'm ready for the BAP boat tide ride.
I don't know what BAP is, but
BAP
no idea.
ride?
But anyway, yes, we did have a great Christmas. Thank you so much for that, Folsom. And I hope you had a great Christmas too. All right, what's next?
Tevin Camo says, No Way Home success will contribute to Uncharted success.
It'll help. Listen, and it helps on 2 different levels. Number 1, when people get to the movie theaters and have a good time, statistics have all shown they go back to the theater within a certain amount of time. And so people go to see Spider-Man No Way Home and have a lot of fun. They're looking forward to going back to the movie theaters again. On top of that, every time Tom Holland, who has not had a lot of success outside of Spider-Man, but this is a big success for Tom Holland. People are going to love him in this movie because he's great in it. And they're going to look forward to seeing him when he's on the big screen again. Is that going to be a big make or break difference? No, but will it have an impact? Absolutely. How big or small, we'll have to wait and see. All right, what's next?
Mark Fournier says, I think Christmas being on a Saturday didn't help the weekend numbers. Spider-Man made over 125 million from Monday to Thursday.
It absolutely helped the numbers. Christmas statistically is the number one movie going day of the year in the United States. So yeah, it did help, but it's not like that's all that did it because obviously it did great with the previous numbers too. Of course, being during a Christmas break and vacation, all that worked in its favor. I mean, that's not to take away the incredible accomplishment that Christmas absolutely played into its favor. 100%, Mark. All right, what's next?
Pretty Cyber says, I don't think Marvel or Star Wars would benefit from having Keanu. I know fans of both studios want him casted immediately. Nah, bruh.
No, it all depends. If they have a character that he would be a great fit for, absolutely. Do I think it'd be good? Oh, just, I don't know, make Keanu Reeves, make him Doctor Doom. All right. I don't know how big of I don't think he's a good fit to play Victor Von Doom, but he's still a good actor, and that's the number one thing. But if you find like the right character, and I don't know who that character would be, but if you found the right character that would be a uniquely good fit for Keanu Reeves, it could make a big difference. Star Wars, you're right, whatever, but it's just the same as any other actor. But we'll see. I don't know. A lot of people thinking, hey, Keanu Reeves is Mephisto. I'd buy that. I'd buy that for $1. You put me up for that, but I don't know. We'll see. All right, what's next?
Adam Henson says, another also is that the Wachowskis haven't made a decent movie since The Matrix Reloaded.
Well, I mean, a lot of people would even argue whether The Matrix Reloaded was decent. I personally do. I like The Matrix Reloaded more than most people do, but a lot of people don't like that movie, even though I do. But yeah, they've made some okay things, but I mean, even to me, they've made some of not just bad movies, but like Jupiter Ascending honestly is, in my own subjective opinion, one of the worst films ever made in Hollywood history. Like, it's not just bad. It is honestly one of the worst films ever made. I don't make it crack into the unholy trinity of Highlander 2, Catwoman, and Battlefield Earth. That's the unholy trinity of the worst Hollywood wide release films of all time.
Oh, no.
But it would be in the top 5, which is one of the reasons why when people ask me, are you excited about the new Matrix? I'd be honestly, no. I mean, I hope it's great. But I mean, the Wachowskis, and there's only one of them doing Matrix 4. The Wachowskis haven't made anything exceptionally good as the directors of a film since the first Matrix, in my opinion. But I mean, we'll see. All right, what's next?
Digovi says, personally, I think the Matrix franchise might benefit from the Wachowskis stepping away and letting someone else take over.
Oh, there is no more Matrix franchise. It's done. Who's going to put up $175 million plus $75 million more dollars on top of that to market it after this? I mean, not only, again, even if the legs on it and it turns around, once the Spider-Man excitement dies down, more people available to go see Matrix, even if it does kind of have a resurgence and good long legs like Free Guy, the fact of the matter is it's not going to have it's going to lose money for the studio. And while there are definitely people who like it, like I said, positive critic and audience ratings on Rotten Tomatoes, fact of the matter is there's a lot of negative buzz about it too. I'm not going to guarantee it. I'm just saying I will be shocked if another Matrix movie gets made after this at all. I just don't think there will be.
Totally shocked.
Totally shocked. Totally shocked.
If there was, what director do you think could bring it home?
Anybody. But what I always say is just get a good director. That's it. I'm not going to play X director and doing X movie, but just get any talented director who's got a vision for the material and let's see what they can do. But I think you're right. I think at this point, if they ever did do another one, and I'd be shocked if they did, the Wachowskis got to step away. It's time for somebody with fresh eyes to take over that franchise. But I don't think there's ever going to be another one. But we'll see. I'm just saying I'll be surprised. That's all. All right, what's next?
Munekita04 says, I'm a high school teacher and the Batman merch is everywhere.
The excitement's building. Moonkita,
so
the
fun.
excitement is building. And don't you take those merches things away from your students. All right, what's next?
Sam Fisher says, saw West Side Story and really liked it. Movie picks up once Tony and Maria meet. Camera movements made the opening kind of blurry for me. And couldn't Tony have just gone to the apartment to check on Maria?
No, again, I think this movie is basically utter perfection. I think the movie is basically utter perfection. Maria, I just met a girl named Maria. I mean, it's so beautiful. And I thought the opening was great. I thought it was like right from the opening credits with those aerial kind of overhead shots of the neighborhoods and stuff like that. I was drawn immediately into this is the world we're now in and stuff like that. Again, to me, it's easily the best movie of the year. Easily the best movie of the year. All right, what's next?
Shiv Patel. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I skipped. Mike Farino says, might have missed this, but where do you think No Way Home would be at with China? I think it would have hit 1 billion way sooner and might even have hit 2 billion total.
No. It wouldn't hit 2. Let's not get ridiculous. By the way, Mike tipped in like $20 to support our channel. Thank you, Mike, for supporting our channel on that level. I'm thinking 1 point. I think it could have hit it a couple days earlier, but remember this: even American movies that do open in China, they don't often open in China the same time they open domestically. So they'll sometimes open like a few weeks later or whatever. So I'm not sure it would have impacted how quickly it would have got to 1 billion. But let's say, for argument's sake, say it did open on the same day in China that it opened in the US. I think it would have become the number 2 fastest. I mean, it obviously would have broke the tie with The Force Awakens, and I think it would have broken the 11-day record of Infinity War. I think we're talking about 8 or 9 days. Instead of 12, I think 8 or 9 days. I think it could have made that much of a difference, Mike. I really do. Great question, man. All right, what's next?
Shiv Patel says, saw Spider-Man 5 times. The 4th time was in IMAX and they started playing The Matrix instead of Spider-Man. Everyone cheered when they stopped playing.
Yeah. Well, look. They weren't cheering because they stopped playing Matrix. They were cheering because they were getting the movie they paid to go see. So let's not be overly negative, Shiv. Let's not be overly negative on Matrix here. All right, what's next?
Islude says, just here to say Andrew Garfield deserves a 3rd movie. For me, he's the best Spider-Man.
Look, all I'm going to say is this. I have been preaching the gospel of St. Andrew as Spider-Man for years. And everybody for years, Cappy, you know you're talking about those amazing Spider-Man movies. Look, I get it. Amazing Spider-Man 2 was not so great. I get that. But if you don't recognize it, Andrew Garfield was a great Spider-Man. I don't know what to tell you. And I've been preaching that gospel for years. And now that the big bandwagon has come along, everybody's using their pogo sticks and jumping on that bandwagon now. But yes, I agree. At any rate. All right, what's next?
Elizabeth Gerardo says, I had tickets to see Matrix, but I canceled them due to COVID and saw it on HBO instead. I am glad with my decision.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's probably pretty good that's you probably made the right decision, in my opinion. You probably made the right decision. All right, what's next?
George Guerrero says, hey, Ray, you're the man. And Kim, you're the lady.
All right.
Yeah, that's more like it.
All right, what's next?
Tevin Kamo says, just imagine if No Way Home opened with all theaters at full capacity and in China.
I mean, it's almost dumbfounding to think about, right? Now, again, I heard the arguments on Twitter that, no. See, Spider-Man benefited from the certain circumstances because it's the first real big one and everybody's been waiting to go back to the movie theaters and this is the movie to go back to see and blah, blah, blah. And I get that. That's a valid point. I accept that. But I really do think all the other drawbacks outweighed it a little bit. And so therefore, I agree. I think we would have seen something even more special as far as the box office results go, had it been in right. Like if this movie had come out with everything being the way it was in 2019, I think you're looking at something even better. All right, what's next?
This is coming from Peter Cunnington. The Kingsman did worse than The Matrix.
Oh, no, yeah, but The Kingsman doesn't have the brand that, look, absolutely. The Kingsman choked.
I still want to see it.
Like on its proper opening weekend, it made $6 million.
Crap.
Now, with the extra days, let me just bring this up here. The King's Man. With the extra days, like Matrix Scott, because this one opened on a Wednesday instead of a Friday, it made almost 17 million. So not much behind Matrix. But again, I don't think there's a lot of people expecting a lot from King's Man. The King's Man.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot more expectations from the Matrix. So you're right. I mean, the King's Man did even worse. But that doesn't stand. It's not as much of a story as the Matrix because the Matrix is the Matrix, right? So yeah, but you're right. You're absolutely right in your observation. It did worse. All right, what's next?
Iman's movie reviews sent $10 super chat. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, man.
Sam Fisher said Flash was able to get his book published because it is very.
No,
that's that a
something-
repeat?
Yeah, that was a repeat. I
Okay.
think the last one is from Down the Well. Let me see if I can get Down the Well on here. Down the Well wrote in, do you think the Batman has Oscar potential? That was also a repeat, I think.
My list is.
Yeah, it might have repeated up there a little bit. But at any rate, I'll say what I did before. It has the same chances of any Oscar potential as any other movie does. Until we see it, we'll have to wait and see. All right, guys. That will do it for all of the comments and thoughts and opinions you guys sent in via the super chat. Thank you guys so much for sending that in. And now we're going to move on to taking the questions that you guys have sent in via the tip link. Now, remember, with the thoughts, observations, and everything that you guys send in, you have to do that live while you're watching the show. But if you're watching this video afterwards, or you think of a question afterwards, you don't have to wait till the show is live to send it in. You can send it in 24/7 using the tip link that's down in the description of this video, or using the link www.streamelements.com/movieblogtv/tip. And you'll see your question read on this show or in an upcoming companion video, of course, if we deem it appropriate to be read on the show. So this is what we're going to do, guys. As we're rounding into the closing of hour number 2 here on the show, we're going to take just a quick little break here. We're going to run, refill our drinks, stretch our legs, whatever. Give you guys a chance to talk amongst yourselves, run, use the bathroom, grab a sandwich, do whatever it is you guys need to do. So hold on tight, don't go anywhere, and we will be right back. All right, everyone, and we are back. Thank you for your patience and indulgence as we took a moment here to refill our drinks and everything. But now, let's get on to those questions you guys have been sending in. So, Kim, what do we got up first?
Russell Amador says, "Hey, John, back to the Keaton Batman topic. Do you think they'll do another multiverse of Batman, making it the in DC EU, or get around to a Batman Beyond?" Thoughts?
I have no idea what you mean by the in the DCEU.
I don't know.
Do I think they're getting around to Batman Beyond? No. But listen, I thought for a long time they would never do Batman Beyond because and the average moviegoer, sorry, nobody gives a shit about Batman Beyond. Other than the hardcore Batman Beyond fans, which is a very small circle, nobody gives a shit about Batman Beyond. Nobody. But once Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse happened, I started to think that, you know what? If you can do that with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, there may be a chance they could maybe try it with Batman Beyond. But I still think there's a less of a chance of that. I think people want Bruce Wayne Batman. That's it. They don't care about what's his name in Batman Beyond? Tim,
I don't know.
I can't remember the character's name.
Remember.
But nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares. But after Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I thought the chances increased. So do I now think they could eventually? His name's Terry McGinnis. That's it.
Terry McGinnis.
And by the way, Red Comet put in Terry McGinnis as well in there. So yeah, a lot of people, I think there is a better chance today than there was before, but I still don't think it's going to be anytime soon.
I really like the take on Batman Beyond, though. That's what attracted me to the animated series, was because he was the young kid taking orders from
the old Bruce Wayne,
trying to be the hot shot, thinking he knows everything. I like that angle that they have in that movie. I meant that series.
All right, what's next?
Capri Grant says, about Hawkeye, I am disappointed at the finale. Not as much as I was after my first viewing and seeing what some comic readers have said, but still, it had all the elements to the best MCU show. If they do a season 2, they should get a new head writer.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know that they're going to do a season 2, but if they do, I agree with you. They need a new writer. They need to go in a different direction. All right, what's next?
Capri says, also about Kang and Ant-Man. I don't see Ant-Man and co taking him down. The multiverse stuff started with him as He Who Remains, Immortus. I think it has to end with him. While I think Arishem is the next Thanos, I see Kang being, and let me go to her number 2, the next villain of the Avengers 5. And that's where the multiverse stuff ends. He's way too big of a character to be hyped up and finished off in not even one of the A-list MCU franchises. Just my thoughts.
But let me throw this out there. Who's ever heard of Kang the Conqueror outside of hardcore comic book fans? My mom's never heard of Kang the Conqueror. My next door neighbor's never heard of Kang the Conqueror.
My mom thought it was Captain Kangaroo.
Kang the Captain Kangaroo Conqueror. He's taken enough shit from these kids over the years, and now it's time for his vengeance.
Damn kids.
Yeah, the way too big of a villain for who? See, that's the other thing with Thanos. They could pretty much do anything they wanted with Thanos, because while the hardcore comic book fans knew about Thanos, nobody else did. He's not like the Joker, and he's not like who's a really popular that most people in pop culture know them as a villain, other than Batman Rogues Galleries.
The Riddler.
I mean, but again, another Batman Rogues Gallery guy, right?
The Hamburglar.
But I don't think he is. I really don't think Kang the Conqueror is going to be that big of a deal. I don't think he's going to be the villain in Avengers 5. Now, am I willing to put $20 on that? No. But if you're asking me my guess, do I think Kang is going to be the big villain in Avengers 5? I don't think so. I'm not going to fall out of my chair with shock if we find out that he is, but right now I don't think he is. I think he ends in Ant-Man, but we'll find out. All right, what's next?
Kevin Billings says, Merry Christmas, John. Despite Cowboy Bebop's reaction, I still think anime is an untapped adaptation goldmine. I've always suggested Berserk and Gundam could work since they are a little bit more grounded in traditional fantasy and sci-fi respectively. You?
Here's the problem. You do more grounded, more traditional style stuff. Anime fans will revolt. Anime fans will revolt. And traditional anime storytelling in live action North American audiences, I don't think goes over well. Now, granted, we haven't had a great translation yet. I mean, obviously, there was the Dragon Ball one that Jamie was in, that was not very good. Then we had the Death Note one on Netflix, but that wasn't very good. So they haven't translated one yet into a good project to really see how people react to it. But I just don't know that traditional anime storytelling style will resonate with North American audiences other than the ones that feel like more traditional storytelling in the first place.
But a Gundam movie, I know nothing about Gundam. I've seen like the toys or whatever, but just robots in general, that like fighter jets and stuff like that. That could reach, because like I watched Pacific Rim and that reminds me of like a Gundam sort of thing.
But it feels
that
more
would be
traditional.
so cool.
The more kind of story that you would tell in a North American setting, right? So I think that could work. I think there are a couple other, like I always talk about Space Battleship Yamato, also known as Star Blazers. I think that one could work because when you really look at the story, it follows more of a traditional story arc. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, Merry Christmas, everyone. Hold your loved ones close and reach out to friends. Just lost one of my best friends earlier in the week, and I'm really
so sorry to hear that.
Struggling right now. We couldn't wait for the Flash movie. I'm really going to miss him when it comes out.
You know, we often talk about when we talk about this show a lot, that when we lose loved ones, one of the best memories we usually have is when the movies we went to go see with them, those great shared experiences. But it can also have the other effect too. Like when you've got a movie, like I remember when John Schnepp passed away. You know, every time now that we all go see, and it ain't just me and like the people who actually knew John personally, but everybody who followed and watched and were influenced by John Schnepp. Now, whenever we go see a movie that we think, man, Schnepp would have loved that, we kind of revisit that. And it's absolutely true when it's on a personal level, like for you, Anonymous. So really sorry to hear that. Our deepest condolences to you and the friends and family of your friend. And hopefully when you see the movie, you can just think, yeah, my friend would have loved this. And hopefully that'll put a smile on your face. All right, what's next?
Tyler Yeats says, love you and your show and everyone.
Thank you, Tyler.
I love Spider-Man, seeing it again in IMAX with my friends for New Year's.
Nice.
Merry Christmas to you and Anne. Thanks for all you do.
And thank you, Tyler, for writing that in. Appreciate that, man. Obviously, this is our first show since Christmas, so some of these questions have come in prior to Christmas, saying Merry Christmas and everything. But anyway, thank you, Tyler. Hope you had a great time watching it and seeing you again at New Year's. That's a good way to ring in the new year, man. I hope you have a fabulous time, Tyler. Thanks again for sending that in, man. All right, what's next?
Cara Black says, John, when will the companion videos for the No Way Home spoilers discussion go up? There are still a lot of questions that need to be answered.
Yeah, again, like I said, last week got away because on top of everything else being crazy busy, we literally lost 2 days because of the unboxing, wrapping, delivering of our adoptive family thing. And then I was going to do it again on Sunday, but I got the message that my marriage might be threatened if I spent some of my Christmas weekend working. So actually, I'm going to be working on it today. So you're going to see at least one part of that going up today. So keep your eyes open. All right, what's next?
The Garbage Chute Flyboy says,
Nice Star Wars reference. I like that.
I hope you all had a happy Life Day.
Life Day. Anyway, okay, go on.
As we approach the Book of Boba, I have to recommend Netflix's Lost in Space. Third and final season was very fun, entertaining ride, and the characters are amazing. Was sad it came to an end, hopeful for a spinoff.
I'll tell you what, I watched the first season of it and I liked the first season. I never did watch the second season. But I've heard the third season's great. I'll look forward to watch it. But yes, Book of Boba Fett starts tomorrow.
Oh my God. I
Tomorrow
thought it was
is
2 more
game
days.
day.
Oh my God.
Boba Fett.
Oh my
God.
Game day.
Oh no.
And so we'll be doing our open spoiler discussion, of course, of it on Wednesday. But because everybody's forgetting this. Here's the thing. Many, many reasons to be excited for Book of Boba Fett. Jon Favreau wrote it.
Now that makes me happy.
That should make everybody happy. Jon Favreau himself wrote this. I am so stoked, and some of the best directors from the Mandalorian are coming back to do individual episodes and stuff like that. I am so
excited.
stoked for the Book of Boba Fett. It's got lost in all the discussion we've had about Hawkeye, got lost in all the Spider-Man No Way Home excitement and hype. But tomorrow is game day. So I am so excited for Book of Boba Fett. All right, what's next?
Tits McGee says,
A nice little Ron Burgundy reference. I like that.
hope you all had a great Christmas and wishing you all a happy new year. I think come January, I will be in TV withdrawal. December saw Lost in Space, Dexter, The Expanse, The Witcher, Boba, Hawkeye, Cobra Kai. At least some carryover will ease the pain.
Well, listen, I mean, Book of Boba Fett, we're literally going to get one episode in December. All the rest are going to be in January, so you got that. Boy, I'm loving The Expanse this season. I'm only 2 episodes in. I'm still an episode behind. But I'm loving that. But obviously, that's going to extend in January as well. I haven't started Dexter yet, but I'm about to start Dexter. Yeah, we got good TV watching ahead of us in January, my friend. All right, what's next?
Garden Variety Vagabond says, so looking forward to to Highlander.
Me too.
Definitely a case that a reboot can't hurt the original. Many will go back and watch it. The special effects are so dated, like other favorite Lady Hawk, The Quickening 91, Final Destination 94, and Endgame 00 don't exist.
I'll tell you what, I have put Highlander out of my mind.
I totally have. I'm excited. I like the reminder.
I do, but I mean, I need to see some movement. And we've been talking about, here's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about Ryan Reynolds was attached to be a new Highlander for about 5 years, and it never happened. And then we find out the big HC, Henry Cavill back there, he's our new Connor McLeod.
Perfect choice, by the way.
So I got so excited. But then I've heard nothing. So, I mean, as far as I know, everything's still moving ahead. But I'm going to be living on that knife's edge of fear until they actually start production. But yeah, that's where I'm at. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, what's worse, the playground scene in Daredevil or the basketball scene in Catwoman?
The thing is, in Catwoman, that scene, as bad as it is, in one of the all-time worst films ever made, it kind of fit in with the rest of the movie. In Daredevil, that teeter-totter scene came it was like so out of step with the rest of the movie. So I got to say, even though I like that movie very much, that teeter-totter scene in Daredevil was one of the worst scenes ever in a comic book movie. Like, ever. So bad. All right, what's next?
Oh, God. Sorry, I'm just remembering, like, being in college and we were all making fun of it. And so when we were playing basketball, we were like, look, I'm shooting.
I would love to see
Random
that.
memory. I think we were drunk too. Jack Lumber says, I disagree when you said Iron Fist was universally disliked. Quite frankly, out of all the Netflix shows, it was my and one of my best friends, followed by Jessica Jones. I love story of complete dumbass trying to figure things out and trying to do good while messing up along the way. I love the Ward-Danny relationship, especially in season 2, and I love what they did when they were doing with Colleen, especially at the end of season 2.
Listen, you can disagree with me all you want, but the fact of the matter is most people really didn't like Iron Fist. But listen, that doesn't matter. That doesn't mean like when I say it was pretty much universally disliked, obviously that's a little bit
most
of
isn't all.
Everything has people that like, there are people out there who hated Spider-Man No Way Home. They're the vast minority, but it's still fairly safe to say Spider-Man No Way Home is pretty much universally loved. Obviously that doesn't mean that every single person does. And obviously there are going to be some people out there that appreciate it, because that's the beautiful thing about storytelling, man. It's all subjective. And if you liked Iron Fist, awesome. I thought actually Iron Fist season 2 started with some promise, and then it went to shit. But I thought Iron Fist season 2 started with some promise. But hey, man, if you like it, and that's awesome. I celebrate that. It definitely has some good things, and you're definitely not alone. But I do feel that it is pretty safe to say that pretty much universally most people didn't like Iron Fist. I think that's fairly safe to say. You know what I'm going to do right now? I'm going to put up a poll. We're going to find out.
Hey,
I'm going to put up a poll right now. All right. I'm just going to ask, was Iron Fist good or bad? It's very simple. Is it good or bad? And your options are good, or the options are bad. I'm going to guess at least 80% say bad. That's my guess. But I don't know. We're going to find out. So if you're watching live right now, I just posted the thing. Was Iron Fist good or bad? And maybe we'll be surprised. Maybe it'll be 50-50. But I think it feels pretty safe to say probably people think it was bad. All right, what's next?
Jack Lumber says, which Spider-Man sequel would you be most excited for, or which would you like to see the most? Spider-Man 4, The Amazing Spider 3, the fourth Spider-Man home movie, if it's Holland's movie. What's your second?
I have always wanted a third Andrew Garfield movie. I've been steadfast in that for years. I've always wanted that, so I'll have to go with that. All right, what's next?
Nice. All right, this is coming from Jonathan. My definitive list of Spidey movies. 1, Into the Spider-Verse. 2, No Way Home. 3, Spider-Man 24.
No, Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2. Sorry, the numbers are too close together.
Yeah, Jonathan,
I was like,
spaces are our friends.
is this a game I don't know about?
Spaces are our friends.
That was a video game. Spider-Man 2. 4, Spider-Man 1. 5, Homecoming. 6, Amazing Spider-Man. 7, Far From Home. 8, Spider-Man 3. 9, Amazing Spider-Man 2. What's your ranking?
I don't do full rankings, but I will tell you this. I think it all depends on the day. But the top 2 are Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. One day I'll say Spider-Verse is number 1. Another day I might say Spider-Man 2 is number 1. I go back and forth on that. But the top 2, in whichever order, to me are always Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Then after that, the new one, Spider-Man No Way Home. Look, all due respect to the first Spider-Man Sam Raimi movie, all due respect to The Amazing Spider-Man, which I love, all due respect to Homecoming and Far From Home. I love both those movies, but Spider-Man No Way Home has to me become, other than Raimi's Spider-Man 2, which is in the conversation of greatest comic book movie of all time, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which I thought was the best comic book movie the year that Black Panther and Spider-Man and Avengers Infinity War came out. And I still thought Into the Spider-Verse was the best comic book movie that year. Those are the 2 best. And then right there comes Spider-Man No Way Home. So that's my thoughts on that. All right, what's next?
Jonathan says, gotta admit something. Turning Red trailer wasn't great, especially for a Pixar flick. Looks too goofy for me. Premise doesn't appeal to me. To me, it looks like a rare Pixar dud. Lightyear, on the other hand, holy shit, I can't wait. Now that's a trailer.
I disagree. I'm excited about Lightyear. Lightyear didn't tell us anything. It just basically said a Lightyear movie is coming. And you know me, you saw me react to it. I was very happy to see that. I was excited to see it. I thought the choice of the song was great. But no, that's not a trailer. Because if that trailer was to anything other than Buzz Lightyear, and we knew the name Buzz Lightyear, everybody would look at that and go, what the hell was that? I mean, they would. I got excited for it. I loved watching it. It's not that great of a trailer other than absolutely fabulous perfection in the song choice for it. It's just that song was perfect for it. I personally think Turning Red looks awesome. I think it shows all that charm and whatever, but we will see. I mean, look, I didn't think Up looked very good. I didn't think Up looked very good at all. I mean, it was Pixar, so I believed it would be good, but the trailers for Up and Wall-E, I didn't think Wall-E looked all that great, but I ended up loving those. So, I mean, I don't know, but I honestly think the Turning Red trailer looks great. But hey, the trailers hit us all in different ways, man. All right, what's next?
Jonathan says, if you were to relive a movie experience from initial hype to the movie premiere, what would it be? For me, it has to be Endgame. Hype was unmatched even compared to No Way Home, and the theater reaction was on another level. I want to relive Endgame one more time.
It doesn't even come close. The Phantom Menace. Nothing else comes close. I know some people who watch a show, there might be a percentage of you that are too young to remember it, but when the Phantom Menace was coming out, it was the first new Star Wars movie when they never thought after Return of the Jedi there was never going to be another Star Wars movie again. Now, forget about how the movie turned out. Like, forget that. Like, that aside, there was nothing else like it. People were literally, now, of course, this is before the days of YouTube. There's a whole part in my documentary. By the way, my documentary, Movie Trailers a Love Story. You can watch it on Amazon right now. But there's a whole section of my documentary that talks about this. It had never happened in Hollywood history. People were buying tickets to movies just so they could go see the trailer for Star Wars: The Phantom Menace.
Oh, wow.
And then turning around and walking out.
Oh, my God. That's love.
It is nothing like that had ever happened in Hollywood history before. Nothing like it has ever happened since. The Endgame hype was surreal. Absolutely surreal. But nothing has ever come close to the build-up hype of the return of Star Wars when that fandom was, I mean, everything, it was the headline news of everything when it was coming out. It was just a different era at a different time, but yeah, that was nuts. Of course, the movie didn't turn out so great. Unfortunately, Endgame did. But yeah, that to me, nothing ever comes close to it.
I remember that was our high school float.
You know, the very first time like I witnessed something like crazy where there's a line that wrapped around the theater was the first Ninja Turtles movie. That one was big. You know, to me, when I was a kid, I was so excited for that movie, and we waited in line, and you know, it was just madness to me, like all the Ninja Turtle shirts and all that.
Fun.
But Avengers 1 is the one that I want to go back to. That was the most hype of recent years.
The Avengers one was great. I still remember being at AMC theaters.
Yeah, lines
and we
everywhere.
were covering it. Everything was lines everywhere. People dressing up.
Up the escalator, they had a line.
Yep.
Through the emergency exit, they had a line. Just everyone was lined up, and we were right in the middle of it, like.
Now, this is during the dark times when there wasn't pre-assigned seating.
Yep.
You had to get in line 3 hours early.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going. What's next?
Jonathan says, we'll be seeing The Tragedy of Macbeth with Denzel Washington at the Landmark. Are you going to see this film? And have you been to the Landmark at West Hollywood? With ArcLight gone, I believe the Landmark is a great replacement.
Yeah, I've been there. It's a good theater, but obviously there are better theaters in LA. The Chinese Theater, which is right beside the ArcLight. By the way, ArcLight's going to be reopening. The Cinerama Dome's going to be reopening like that. But look, let's talk about The Tragedy of Macbeth. 95% of you aren't going to go watch it. I know that. You should. Now, maybe Shakespeare's not your bag, and that's fine. You want to see what world-class acting looks like? Go see Macbeth. The Tragedy of Macbeth. I mean, they did this in such a way that, oh God, it was so good. It was so good. I mean, it doesn't replace West Side Story for my favorite of the year. It'll definitely be in my top 10. I don't know if it's going to be in my top 5, but it's so good. And again, world-class acting from top to bottom. Go see Macbeth, guys. Go see Macbeth if you get a chance. All right, what's next?
Dr. Nova says, worst marketing for a great movie. Miracle on 34th Street. Fox execs thought no one would watch a movie around Christmas, so it was released on July 4th. So naturally, they hid all signs of Christmas in the marketing and failed completely.
You know, I never heard that story.
Never heard that story.
That's
Wow.
actually really interesting. I mean, obviously, when I think of the worst marketing to a great movie, two pop into my mind. One is John Carter of Mars, which, of course, there's the marketing mistake number one. They changed the name from John Carter of Mars just to John Carter. So it could have been about a lawyer in St. Louis. So there was that. And that movie is wonderful. It's wonderful. So badly marketed. So badly marketed. The other one is it was called All You Need Is Kill. What did they change the name to it again? Live, Die, Repeat. Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Edge of Tomorrow. Right. They first of all they should have kept the original name, which is All You Need Is Kill. That's a memorable name. Instead, they gave it a fucking title of a Thursday afternoon midday soap opera. We will find out next on the Edge of Tomorrow. Blah 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 blah. Anyway, and then they had those god awful trailers with that stupid music choice.
Now I have to watch them again.
Is not the end.
Yeah.
They just gave this dull, drab, kind of weighty overture to it. And you had no
90s
idea it was
musical.
and that movie was so good.
It was good.
Edge of Tomorrow was so good.
Emily Blunt was great in that.
Oh my God, her, Tom Cruise. I mean, listen, this is a movie, and I don't like time travel stuff like at all normally, but this is a movie that should have made double the money that it made. It fortunately, really good word of mouth started getting out, and it was able to do pretty good at the box office,
Watch
but it
that
didn't
again.
open great. And this movie needs a sequel.
Yep, we're still waiting on that.
We're still waiting on that sequel.
Nothing has moved ever since we talked about
Now,
it.
they tried to get one moving. The director and Tom Cruise got a hold of Emily Blunt and said, look, would you be available on these dates to do a sequel? And Emily Blunt's like, guys, like 1 week ago, I signed a deal to be Mary Poppins.
Oh,
And so that kind of got in the way.
That's
Then it
Doug
became a
Liman,
catch-all thing.
right? Liman?
Yeah, Doug Liman was directing it. And again, how the hell do you know that? The guy who sits here says, you know what, I remember watching Indiana Jones. And then all of a sudden he'll pull out these names. It's like, how the hell do you know that?
It's all the
Every now and then.
graphics. It's all the graphics that I do.
Oh
And then
my God.
certain things stick with me. You know, it doesn't all go through my head.
Every now and then you just pop up
Pull one of these
that.
things out, man.
But you know the problem with Edge of Tomorrow now? I don't even remember how the first one ended, and I love the movie. So if a sequel came out now, I'll still see it, but I don't know if like it'll hit as hard as releasing it.
But that's true for a lot of sequels, right? Like you got to remember the first one. But
I'm just scared the Matrix effect.
They'd
right
Matrix it? Nah. Doug wouldn't do that. Doug wouldn't do that. All right, what's next?
The Call of Duty God says, "Hi, John and crew. A few years ago, I remember you talking about the last season of Game of Thrones and how you loved it. So I started the first 4 episodes while the last season was airing. Granted, John, I just don't have a lot of time between work." I think there's a second part here to catch up on 8 seasons. So I bailed out on it, but I enjoyed it. About 6 weeks ago, I was caught up on Hawkeye and Arcane because they're weekly episodes. John, you know how you're scrolling and can't find anything to watch? So I gave Game of Thrones another chance, and episodes 5 and 6 got me hooked. OMG, I feel guilty not investing in it earlier. A few years ago, my job in sales, and I travel to different accounts with customers I see weekly. There's 2 that help me out with questions that I have about the characters or the episodes that I saw last week. When I show up to see them each week, they get excited to hear what I watched and what season and episode I'm on. I just finished season 3 this week, and when I told them I just witnessed the Red Wedding, they were ecstatic to hear my reactions and thoughts about that episode. This show is amazing, John. My favorite character is Tyrion Lannister, and when him and his father are talking to each other, it's gold. I'm sorry, John. Sorry, it's so hard to see that this is so long, but what a show. What's your favorite?
Listen, there are 2 things about it. There has never been a television show that's had the pop cultural influence and phenomena that Game of Thrones did. I mean, that's just it. It was the television version of Star Wars. Like everything references Star Wars, right? Everything references Game of Thrones. And even now today, when we're talking about excellence in television, like we're talking about Arcane, we'll say it's got that Game of Thrones feel to it, right? So Game of Thrones has kind of become that standard. And it is remarkable. I remember a few months ago, I just popped on an episode. I remember I had like 40 minutes to kill in between when I finished something and I had something else coming up. I had 40 minutes to kill, and I was on HBO Max. I'm like, oh, Game of Thrones. And I just put on a random episode. And I watched like about 15 minutes of it, and I realized, if I don't stop this right now, I'm going to skip my next meeting, and I'm just going to keep watching this. It is so... It's amazing. There's a reason this show holds all the records for all the Emmy wins in pop culture. Nothing's ever come close. And I am in the minority that I thought the final season was brilliant. I thought, and actually it's funny because I was just reading Peter Dinklage, a new comment from Peter Dinklage today saying, oh no, the ending of the show was brilliant. He said like the ending, he said the problem is, and I'm paraphrasing, Peter Dinklage was saying today in an interview, the problem is everybody's watching it wrote their own endings in their head. And when it didn't turn out to be the endings they wrote in their head, they got disappointed. But he said what Benioff and Weiss came up with was better than anybody else thought in their heads. And I agree with them. I thought the ending was great. And it comes back to the big thing, because what was Tydarian's first name? What was her name? What was the Mother of Dragon's first name again? I keep forgetting in the show. I keep forgetting what her name was. But Dany, as people called her, short form, Daenerys? Was that her name? Anyway, but Dany, like a lot of people were mad that she turned bad. I told people for 3 years she was turning bad. I told people for 3 years. They're dropping all the hints. Dany is a jerk. They're dropping all the hints. Dany was Thanos.
Daenerys,
whatever. Dany is whatever we call. I told people for years, but now I just come out with the news. She's Thanos. She's this person who thinks she has a righteous idea with a righteous goal, but underneath is an absolute corrupt person. And they showed us glimpses of it for years. And it's just the true her came out. She was Thanos. Somebody who thought she was in the right, thought she was doing this great thing. And we can even empathize with her that she has this great thing. She wants to do these great ideals, but underneath it all was a heart of corruption. And I said for years, you watch, guys, she's a jerk. They're playing the season. Everybody would say to me, no, John, you're crazy. She's not going to turn out to be bad. I'm like, yeah, you watch. For years, I said it. And it turned out she was exactly what I said she was. Who was the coach? Who was the NFL coach? Green? Was it Green that said that? They are who we thought they were.
Oh, no, I don't remember. But
they are who we thought they were. She is who I said she was.
What's funny about this question is he said he was at episode 4 and he stopped. And that's exactly where I stopped for some reason. That's
really?
So strange. Because one day I said, what's all this hype about? This was like maybe a year ago. I started watching season 1 and I was like, this is pretty good so far. And I never continued it for some reason. Well, yeah. Obviously, my reason, which is no reason at all.
But so, I'm telling you, it is great. It is awesome. If you've never watched Game of Thrones, I actually feel, and I was never the biggest Game of Thrones fans, but honestly, if you've never watched Game of Thrones, I just feel envy because you get to do what nobody else gets to do now. You get to watch it for the first time. And I really now, and there will be mixed feelings about the ending. A lot of people hated it. I actually thought the ending was absolutely brilliant, but whatever. It is the biggest pop culture phenomenon television show in history. Get on it, go watch it, and be glad.
Dennis Green.
Dennis Green. I knew it was Green. Yeah, the Cardinals coach. They are who we thought they were. All right, what's next?
Tito says, did you see the Cinema Blend interview where Vincent explains that the Hawkeye Kingpin is the same as Daredevil?
Everybody is interpreting what he's saying the way they want it to be. He's always very clear. To him, it's the same guy. He's always emphasizes that. He says, the way I played it, he says in the one interview that is most clear, we tried to connect, he said directly, we tried to connect as many dots. So emotionally, he specifically said this, emotionally, he's the same guy. But he also was very quick to point out, look, there are disconnects that don't connect. That's word for word what he said. This is not the same guy. He's stronger. He's more powerful. He can take more physical than that other guy ever could. So everybody keeps reading that, and they're saying him saying, to me, I played him as the same guy. And they're saying, Vincent D'Onofrio says it's the same Kingpin. It's like, that's not what he said. That's not what he said. But we will find out what Kevin Feige, once we see Kingpin next, and we will see him next, then we'll get all of our answers. But I think a lot of people are misrepresenting what it is that Vincent D'Onofrio said. But we'll find out. We'll find out. All right, what's
Fair
next?
Enough. Jonathan says, here's a fun game. Try to match a movie with the corresponding hybrid genres. 1, romance horror.
There are many of those.
2, comedy crime.
Lots of those.
No, crime noir, sorry. 3, adventure horror.
Lots of those.
Good luck, Campea. If you can't guess, losers eat ketchup on eggs with Adam.
Yeah, there would be many, like romance horror. Well, Shaun of the Dead could be considered one of those. I mean,
adventure horror, Descent, kind of.
I mean, Descent is adventure horror. I mean, there's a lot that could go into those, so I don't think there's any. You'd have to be a little bit more specific, Jonathan. All right, what's next?
Kingpin's fedora says, when I saw Eternals, I thought it was okay. Arishem's appearance was the best part, despite the MCU's negating all the world religions with it. But every time you mention him, I dislike the movie. If having Arishem makes everything else in the MCU feel irrelevant, then I prefer he not be there at all. I'd rather have Hawkeye and the Rolex watch than Arishem. The cost of this space god is too high. His presence ruins all the stakes in all the future MCU properties. And it's not worth it from a mediocre Eternals movie.
I mean, listen, and I think Eternals is a little bit better than mediocre. But that being said, that is one of the things that I said was a concern when I came out of Eternals. That was one of my concerns as well. Like, I am overwhelmed by Arishem the Judge, yes. But I said exactly what you're kind of pointing out, Kingpin's fedora, is that I said, the one thing that makes me worry a little bit is that it kind of eradicates anything else that we consider stakes in the MCU. But then again, you can sort of say the same thing about Thanos running around with an Infinity Gauntlet, right? Like, you can kind of say, I mean, who cares if Scott gets visitation rights to his daughter when there's a mad titan out in the universe who's about to snap away half of the universe? True. And when Arishem the Judge shows up, and Earth, whose head is as big as the planet, says, I'm going to come back to judge you. Hi, I'm the guy who created all the universe. Who cares about a Rolex watch at an underground auction, right? It does kind of shake that up a little bit. It's going to be interesting to see how the MCU navigates that as they move forward. All right, what's next?
Paul C. says, hi, John. How are you?
I'm great.
I never understand all these debates around Superman when it comes to portraying him in new movies. Is there no will to refer to the comics or what? Real question. And this is one of 6. We talk about Supes like he hadn't known any evolution in DC continuity or TV adaptations between 1938 and today. As if he didn't have iconic stories, and maybe it's just me, but I feel like he's the only popular superhero treated like this. He carries the burden of a bunch of cliches. He's boring. He's old-fashioned. His only enemies are Lex and Zod, and you can't relate to him. Unfortunately, WB was unable to take advantage of this golden age of comic book films to deny these cliches. I have a feeling that some do not differentiate between Fleischer's Superman and Bruce Timm's one, or between George's Reeves' Superman and Tyler Hoechlin's, or even between Schuster, Siegel, and DC's Rebirth one. It's just crazy. One more. A little creativity and loyalty in the future. Is it too much to ask? I'm not asking for Donner, Snyder, or Injustice's Superman for the next movies. I'm just asking for Superman, God damn it. A little rant, but happy to tell you what I'm feeling.
Well, see, here's the thing about that with the Superman stuff. One of my favorite stories about Superman in general and the modern conundrum of trying to bring Superman to the screen. The director of Superman Returns was at Comic-Con. This is obviously going back a bunch of years. And somebody at Comic-Con asked him, why did you change the Superman costume? Now, this is a very reflective question of how people feel about a lot of stuff regarding Superman. Like, why do you change this? Why do you change that? And somebody asked him, why did you change the Superman costume? And I remember the director, I believe it was Bryan Singer, gave one of the best answers ever. He said this, well, what do you mean by when you say change Superman costume, change from what? There are 38 at that time. He said, from the beginning of Superman in comic books, there have been 38 different iterations of the Superman costume. Some kind of more significant changes, some very, very small details, but there have been 38 different iterations of the Superman costume. So when you say, why did you change the Superman costume? I ask you, changed from what? And it reminds me, a lot of people say, well, why does this Superman kill? Or if you go to Batman, why did this Batman kill somebody? Why do you change that from the comics? Well, change from what issue of the comics? There are issues of the comics where Batman has killed and has talked about killing. You're right. Superman, everybody then talks about Superman. Well, Superman should be this. Well, yeah, if you read Superman from 1971 to 1982, then others will say Superman should be this. Well, yes, if you read him from 1995 to maybe 2002, Superman should be this. And you're right. People need to understand that there is no one version of the Superman in comic books. Superman has gone through a lot of evolution, a lot of change, and we should expect no less than when he's brought to the big screen. So I think you raised some really good points there, Paul C. Thanks for pointing that out, man. All right. What's next?
Rambo Millennium Falcon says, I was kind of underwhelmed with Kingpin's portrayal in Hawkeye. I love that tense scene in Daredevil Season 3 when Karen confronts Fisk in his penthouse.
That's so good.
Nice to know the person who wrote that episode, Dara Resnick, is doing some writing for the upcoming Echo.
Ooh, I didn't know that. That is very exciting. I'm still not excited for Echo in the least. Not even a little bit.
I'm still not convinced it's even a show.
A lot of people not even convinced it's actually going to happen, but that is interesting to know. Thanks for putting that in there, Rambo. Very good info. All right, what's next?
Ben Burnside says, hi, John. I unfortunately...
You missed May the Hines.
I? Oh, I'm so sorry. May the Hines be with you. Says, waiter, how can I help you? Andrew Garfield. I'm not in the movie.
Which was a common refrain. Well said, May the Hines. All right, what's next?
I love it. Ben Burnside says, hi, John. I unfortunately haven't watched any of your Hawkeye review shows yet, but I will before I have a couple of points. Before that, I have a couple of points. One, can I ask spoiler type questions about the show on your regular shows? Because I noticed you're talking about who Kingpin is. Hold on. Who Kingpin fought in the finale, as well as what the fate of Vera Farmiga's character was. Two, overall, I thought that the show was disappointing, and it was yet another example of the MCU not really caring about the Hawkeye character like how they care about... Oh, there's one more.
I missed it altogether.
Hmm.
I don't even have any of it at all. So you please
To
go
their
on.
other characters. I don't even care about Hawkeye, but they're making me feel bad for him. His show got 6 episodes, a post-credit scene, and that was a regular scene in the first episode. And I don't even think that he was the main character in his own show. Honestly, I felt like Kate Bishop was the main character on the show more than Hawkeye. It was more like she was A1 and Hawkeye was 1B. I don't know. I liked the show overall, but the ending for me was a rough landing.
All right. I finally found the rest of them. Okay. So first of all, yes, you can write in spoiler questions about Hawkeye. Look, there is a difference between television and movies. And I know I had this debate and I know not everybody agrees with me, and that's perfectly fine. But there is a difference between spoiler shadow in movies versus television. Because in movies, when a movie comes out and there are like big plot points and whatever, we as the rest of the fans who see those movies before other people do, we do have a responsibility to our fellow film fans to at least recognize some kind of window of time that we don't discuss the spoilers open and publicly once we've seen the movie and they haven't. Whether that is a couple of weeks, a couple of months, whatever, that's up for debate amongst people. With television, it's different. In movies, we film fans who get to see a movie before other people do, we have a responsibility to try to maintain a certain window of time that we don't discuss it. With television show, the responsibility is on the person who hasn't seen it yet. I've talked about this story many, many times, but when I was watching Sons of Anarchy, I could not watch the episode that my favorite character died. And I couldn't watch it live. So I couldn't watch it till the next day. And I got spoiled about what happened to my favorite character on Twitter. But you know whose fault that was? That was my fault. Because if I can't watch something that's on TV when it comes out, then the responsibility is on me to stay off social media until I have a chance to watch it. Last night, there was an incredibly one-sided football game with the Dallas Cowboys playing the Washington Football Club. Now, if you're a big Dallas Cowboys fan, and I know a bunch of people who watch this show are, maybe you had to work last night when the game was on. Maybe you couldn't watch it live and you were recording it on your PVR at home. Maybe you were recording it on your YouTube TV or whatever, and you were going to wait till you got home to watch the game. Well, guess what? It's not ESPN's responsibility to keep the result of the game secret until you can get home and watch it. It's not other people's responsibilities to not talk about what happened in the game until you get home and watch it. The responsibility when it comes to TV is on you. And it's on me. So when I got spoiled about Opie's death, that was on me. That was my responsibility. I should have stayed off Twitter till I had a chance to watch it. So yeah, we generally, like when we do Book of Boba Fett, it comes out at midnight on Tuesday for us. We won't talk about spoiler details at 10 a.m. on Wednesday morning, but we will later in the day. So we try to give a little bit, maybe a 10-hour window, a 12-hour window of a grace period for you to get caught up. But if you're not caught up on a show by that point, then it's your responsibility to stay off of social media until you can watch it. That's my belief on the difference between television and movies. Not everybody agrees with me, that's fine. But yeah, since we are now obviously days separated from the Hawkeye thing, yeah, you can ask questions about the Hawkeye stuff. I felt the same about you, Ben, about this is clearly Kate Bishop's show, at least for the first 2 episodes. Once you got into episode 3 and 4 and 5, they transitioned that back and it did become about Clint. To me, Clint was the main character of the show. Not at first. At first, it was clearly Kate Bishop. But by the time you got to the end, I did feel it was about Clint. And I don't think you can say they didn't care about the Hawkeye character, because if they didn't care about the Hawkeye character, they wouldn't have given him a show. So they gave him a show. They care about him. I think it is the weakest thing they've done as far as Disney Plus goes. I think it's the weakest thing they've done this year. Like, I think Black Widow was better. I think Captain Falcon and the Winter Soldier was better. I think Loki was better. Obviously, I think WandaVision was better. Obviously, I think Shang-Chi was better. I think Spider-Man. I think it's the weakest thing they've done this year. But it had some upside and whatever. But by the end, I did think it was Clint's show. All right, what's next?
Some old guy in Hawaii says, "Hey, John, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Regarding the Netflix Kingpin never working with a group like the Tracksuit Gang, remember, this is all post-snap.
No, it's not.
If he was snapped away and brought back, that power base / organization was no longer his upon return.
Oh, wait a minute. Did I not see a scene in Hawkeye where Kingpin was already clearly the head of the Tracksuit Gang when Echo was just a little girl long before the snap ever happened? Did I just imagine that?
That's true.
So no, the Tracksuit Gang, what do they call you? The Tracksuit Mafia? Is that
Tracksuit Mafia.
Bros.
I need to hear bro. So he did not just come back from the snap and take over the Tracksuit Gang because he was desperate. He was already in this universe. This was the head of the Tracksuit Mafia before the snap, back when Echo was a little child. So it's not something new. It was already there pre-snap. So that's not a post-snap thing. All right. Sorry, some old guy in Hawaii. Sorry, I'm busting your balls a little bit. I'm just having some fun with you there. When I'm not trying to be super sarcastic. When I go, I'm sorry, did I imagine that scene? Having some fun with you. But yeah, he was still the Tracksuit Mafia guy prior to the snap. This universe's version was. All right, what's next?
Hitchcock is the GOAT says, saw 2 movies this weekend. The Kingsman is still not up there with the original, but it was a vast improvement over disappointing Golden Circle and was great fun. No Elton John moments for me anyway. And I can always use more Ray Fiennes. However, Matrix 4 was utterly awful. It made 3 Revolutions look as good as the original by comparison. If I didn't have guests with me, I would have walked out instead. Spielberg and Crystal Skull just called Warner Brothers and Lana Wachowski to give their thanks.
I mean, look, I will say this. While I think Matrix 4 is the worst Matrix movie, I don't think it's that much worse than Matrix 3. Like, I do think Matrix 3 is a little bit better than Matrix 4, but not by a lot. Like, I don't think it's like super, super down there. And I don't think Matrix 4 is going to end up being the worst film of the year or anything like that. But I thought it was bad. So I don't think it was quite as bad as maybe you thought. I never felt like walking out, although I did kind of check out when they did the whole Warner Brothers is actually the villain of the film kind of thing at the beginning. But I didn't think it was that bad, but a bad nonetheless. All right, what's next?
Chuck the Mystery says, hey, John, one of 2. I watched 2 films this weekend and I truly enjoyed Don't Look Up. Being that reviews haven't been that great, it's a Netflix film. Despite the pedigree of actors, I wasn't expecting much, but as always, DiCaprio was fantastic. Chalamet was hilarious. Overall for me, McKay has hit another one out of the park. Loved it. Matrix was awful. By the time the character named Bugs, played by Jessica Henwick, literally said, "What's up, Doc?" Okay. I was ready to tap out. The warehouse fight was decent, though.
Hey, listen,
I didn't catch that she did that. Oh, man.
But I will say, too, I actually thought the warehouse fight, like a lot of people, as much as I don't like Matrix 4, a lot of people bagging on the action in. And the action is not great by Matrix standards, but I still thought some of the action was pretty good. That warehouse fight scene, I still thought was a pretty exciting fight scene. I did. I thought that was pretty good.
That actress was the best part of the movie, I will say.
Jessica?
I will give her that.
She was
absolutely.
Great. Yeah, she ended up being really good.
She was
Bugs.
really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
I agree. All right, what's next?
Yeah. What's up, Doc? It's crazy. All right. Chuck the Mystery says, also wanted to mention that I thought The Protege was great. Every time I see Maggie Q now, I think of your story from the Priest premiere. Also, I'm now convinced that Michael Keaton can be Batman for at least the next 5 years. Thanks for all you do, John.
Yeah, The Protege was actually a nice little film with Maggie Q and Michael Keaton. And like, listen, we already knew Michael Keaton was coming back to play Batman and Flash. And I was like, oh, okay, the old man Keaton is going to come, whatever. And then you see The Protege. And you see Michael Keaton kicking ass. Not, that's pretty good for a 70-year-old. That's pretty good, period. What he was doing that. He made me believe he was kicking everybody's ass in that. Maggie Q was great. For those of you who know the story, I was talking about when I was reviewing Protege, I was talking about how Maggie Q was in Priest. And with Paul Bettany. Not a great movie, but I got a kick out of it. But whatever. But when I went to my press screening, I was in San Diego, and I went to a press screening I was in San Francisco, sorry. I went to a press screening for it prior to my press junket for it the next day. And there was only about 15, 20 people in the small theater to watch this thing of thing of Priest, the screening of Priest. And about a minute before the movie starts, in comes walking in, it's beside me, Maggie Q and some friend with her. I don't know who it was. And Maggie Q ends up sitting next, and Maggie Q turns to me and says, "Oh, I'm sorry, is this seat taken?" And I joked about it. I said, if somebody had been sitting in that seat, I would have.
They're not now.
I would have knocked them unconscious, cut their throat, dragged them into the foyer, left their body there to rot, and say, "No, Miss Q, the seat is totally available. You may have a seat right here." And end up watching Priest at that. But yeah, but yes, if you haven't seen Protege, it's not a great movie. It's a fun little action film, though. If you want to see what Michael Keaton can still do before you go watch Batman, watch Protege. All right, what's next?
Chuck the Mystery says, I can't believe we are in Boba Fett premiere week.
Game day tomorrow.
And as excited as I was by the Mandalorian post-credit scene, I'm not feeling hyped about the show at all. Not sure why. I love Morrison in the role. I love Ming-Na. But when I'm more excited for Harry Potter.
Well, listen, there's a lot of people very excited for this HBO Harry Potter thing. Literally, Anne, you didn't know, but you weren't here for this, Ray. But Anne and I are sitting there, and the Harry Potter, we were going through YouTube, and we saw that the Harry Potter new pre-trailer,
yeah.
right? And we put it on, and I'm watching. I said, "That's pretty good, right?" And I turned over to Anne, and Anne's like tears down her face. I'm not crying. She had like tears coming down her face. She's like so many people very,
It
very
looks
excited.
very intimate. It looks really.
It looks really good.
like it would be a really nice special.
And I'm not even a big Potterhead, but I will say this. Yeah, I'm feeling that lack of Boba Fett hype. But again, we've been watching Hawkeye. Spider-Man No Way Home is eating up all the attention. I get it, but I think once episode 1 drops tomorrow, I think it's going to generate that hype a lot. Once episode 1 drop, we'll all be there. All right, what's next?
Remember Bulldog says, hey, John, I disagree with you on the MCU quality suffering because of too many projects. I just think that some MCU movies/shows aren't as good as the others, and that it's okay. We just have high standards for every MCU project. That if it doesn't live up, here's number 2, live up to our expectations, it's considered disappointment. But just because something is good but not great doesn't mean it's a failure. WandaVision is clearly the best show MCU has made, but I really liked Loki and Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Remmer. Look, obviously, just because something is good, not great, that doesn't mean it's a failure. Absolutely. That's why, like, when I watch something like Falcon, Winter Soldier, and Loki, I say, okay, yeah, I like them. They're good. I mean, but I didn't love them. Here's the thing, though. With Falcon, Winter Soldier, Loki, Black Widow, and Eternals, and Shang-Chi was thrown in there too. Shang-Chi, which is like my favorite comic book thing this year. But that made 4 out of the 5 Marvel things that I've watched. And now Hawkeye. So now we've got 6 out of the 7 or 5 out of the 6 last MCU things that I didn't love. I love Shang-Chi, and that was it. I liked Black Widow. I liked Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I liked Loki. I didn't like Hawkeye overall, even though it wasn't terrible, but I didn't like it. And that's fine for anybody else. But I have never watched 6 MCU things where I only loved 1 out of those 6. Now, before that was WandaVision, which I loved, and after that was Spider-Man No Way Home, which I loved. But I mean, in there you had a streak of 6 things where there was only 1 out of the things. And we are simply not accustomed to that. So I'm sorry. Yeah, Marvel's quality, I think right now, is starting to suffer a little bit. Because I have never seen a streak of Marvel things where you could go 6 projects in a row and only truly love 1 of them. The others were good. But that is still a step down from where they have been for the last 11, 12 years. So I am worried. I'm a little bit worried. Look, they're still cranking out stuff like Shang-Chi and Spider-Man No Way Home. That's a good sign in WandaVision, but we're starting to see, I feel we're starting to see a little bit of a decline. And whether or not they turn that right around or they don't, we'll have to see. But yeah, right now I feel like they're struggling a little bit, but that's just me. All right, what's next?
There was a third part from Remmer. It was just because I didn't like those shows as much as WandaVision I don't consider that as the MCU quality is dropping. It's just we have such high standards for the MCU as we should, but just because something is not amazing like Shang-Chi or No Way Home.
This is part 4.
Part 4 does not mean the MCU quality is dropping. I mean, look at the success of Spider-Man No Way Home has had, and look how many people are going to be hyped for Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. But that's just my opinion.
Again, yeah, they're still cranking out some great stuff. I'm just saying, before, every time I'd see 6 Marvel things in a row, minimum 4 out of them I loved. Now it's like 1 out of the 6. I mean, they're still doing WandaVision, Spider-Man No Way Home, and Doctor Strange 2 I'm super excited about, but that is a step down from where they were a couple of years ago. But that, again, that's just my personal opinion on that rumor. All right, what's next?
David27 says, "Hey, John, I have good news and bad news. The bad news is I watched Matrix Resurrections, which was terrible. But the good news is I watched Shang-Chi, and it was fantastic. Every watch, it gets better and better, and it's my second favorite comic movie."
I tell you what, I am still amazed how good Shang-Chi is. I believe it is I think it's the best comic book movie this year. I have it above Spider-Man No Way Home. Spider-Man No Way Home's a close second, but I have Shang-Chi above it. I still think Shang-Chi is the best comic book movie since Logan. I mean, and I'm like, it's got that Man of Steel thing to me where the more I watch it, the more I like it. I'm always finding new things I like even more. But that's just me. All right, thanks for sharing your thoughts there, David. What's next?
David27 says, "Also theory, Wanda might be a villain of the Multiverse of Madness, and the trailers could be misleading us because she might try to search for her kids, and in doing so, she might create madness."
Listen, I speculated a long time ago, I think a lot of people did, I wasn't unique, that I think Wanda actually ends up being the antagonist of Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness. Now, I think a lot of people thought that prior to WandaVision coming out, and then once WandaVision ended, maybe changed some of our minds. I'm not so sure that she's going to end up being the antagonist of Doctor Strange 2 now. I still think there's a good chance of it, though. So you might be right about that. I hope you're right at any rate, David. All right, what's next?
Victor says, "Today's mind-blowing fact. John Williams has been nominated for 52 Academy Awards.
Yep.
Only behind Walt Disney with 59 for most of all time. He's also the only one in the history of the Academy Awards to have received nominations in 7 consecutive decades."
Yeah, we actually talked about the 52 Oscar nominations for John Williams a while ago, which, I mean, that's
amazing.
Insanity. That's absolutely
What a
insanity.
career.
But almost even more impressive than that is the 7 consecutive decades streak. Like, because not only has he been great, he has consistently been great.
amazing.
He's still the best. He's the GOAT of GOATs. He's the Tom Brady of movie scoring. It's just that simple. All right, what's next?
Fanimator says, "I saw West Side Story and Matrix 4. West Side Story was wonderful and is a top 10 film of the year. 8 out of 10. However, when I was watching Matrix 4 in the theater, halfway through, I just tapped out and looked at my phone, something I've never done. 2 out of 10 at best."
Yeah, again, Matrix 4 is pretty disappointing, but it's important to point out that it has its fans. There are people out there who enjoyed it, which is great.
Okay.
West Side Story, I think it's even better. I mean, to me, West Side Story is easily the best film of the year, but I'm glad you had a good time with it, Fanimator. All right, what's next?
Murray Wyke says, "I saw 2 movies over the weekend. Sing 2, like the first one, is a charming film filled with lots of laugh, music, and heart. Also saw American Underdog, and it was really good. While it may be a movie about Kurt Warner's football life, it focuses a lot more on his personal life, especially with Anna Paquin's character. His life was filled with lots of obstacles that he overcame, never giving up on his life and dreams, and all leading up to this Cinderella story. Overall, I had a good time at the movies this past weekend."
Good to hear. Look, I am fascinated with the life story of Kurt Warner. And obviously I love Zachary Levi, and I really like Anna Paquin. I am just not big on faith movies. I've talked about this a lot. My distaste of faith movies actually came from seminary, where we all really hated faith-based movies. But that is good to hear, and I will probably check it out at some point, and hopefully I'll like it. But I'm glad you had a good time at the theaters this week, Murray. All right, last question of the day. What's next?
This comes from Dylan Macri. "To me, Eternals felt more like Man of Steel than it did MCU. Chloe Zhao said Man of Steel was a strong influence on both films portray their heroes as gods among men. They both took this perspective and also mixed reviews. Just something interesting I noticed.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting when Chloe Zhao said she took a lot of influence from Man of Steel, which I think is the most underrated comic book film in the history of comic book films. And you could see that influence in there as well. And again, I've said this is the most Eternals is easily the most un-MCU project the MCU's ever done. It feels totally out in left field, and that is neither a good nor a bad thing. It's just, it is what it is. For me, I thought it was rather refreshing, and I love Chloe Zhao's approach to it. The film has its weaknesses to me, but I still overall, I quite like Eternals. I mean, I wouldn't say I love it, but there are things about it I love. But it also had some weaknesses, whatever. But overall, I thought it was a very interesting insertion in the MCU, and we'll see what kind of ramifications it has, particularly with Arishem the Judge, which, by the way, if you notice, nothing else MCU has mentioned that event yet. Neither Hawkeye, no Spider-Man, No Way Home.
I was surprised that Kate wasn't even, because Kate had that memory of the first Avengers movie.
Right.
And I was surprised that she didn't say something sarcastic with her 20-year-old mouth, like, oh, I'm in trouble, Mom. What are you going to do? Call Arishem the Judge? Like, I just felt like there was an opportunity for her with as much of a smartass as she is to say something. And it's like the events didn't happen.
Yeah, so I don't know if they're going to... They might be playing something with timeline, like maybe the events of Eternals happen after the events of Hawkeye and after the events of Spider-Man No Way Home. I mean, maybe yes, maybe no. But yes, the giant head of a being that's bigger than your planet popping up and saying, I'm going to come back for judgment. You figure that would be the number one story. Even Jay Jonah would have to talk about that more than he'd talk about Spider-Man. I mean,
but I have a question. Do
Sure.
you think in Doctor Strange that we're going to see Arishem, I don't know if it's in an end credit scene because it might be out of place because it's not like we're leading into Eternals 2 or anything, but somewhere, because they're really messing with the universe in Multiverse of Madness. Like,
are they though?
there...
We don't really know. We haven't seen it yet.
Oh, you're right. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, we'll see.
It seems like it would get the attention of Arishem, but then again, Doctor Strange is not an Eternal that's breaking the rules.
Or more importantly, wouldn't Arishem get the attention of Doctor Strange? I mean,
either way, I'm saying.
So that's why I'm wondering.
Somebody's knocking on someone's door. I mean,
maybe they're saying the events of Eternals happens after all these projects, because I just don't know how that happens, and nobody's once mentioned it yet.
Didn't they address exactly the timeline though?
When?
Because after in Eternals, when they were sitting on the porch when he was with Selma Hayek, what's her name? What's the character's name? Ajax,
yeah.
When he was sitting with her and he said, how long do we have? And she had 7 days, but she was saying how the blip, they had said the time of the blip.
About 5 years.
To then.
But one could have been June and one could be November.
Oh, that's true.
Right?
That's
so it
true.
could all
That's
be
true.
separated by weeks for all we know. We just don't know. But otherwise, it is odd that they haven't mentioned that event yet, but we'll see. All right, guys, listen. That'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here, guys. By the way, there's still more questions to come from Ryan Lohner and Dangerous D and Mr. J. Corbs and others. Do not worry. We will pick up tomorrow right where we left off, right there. And we've only got a couple of questions left, so we'll get through those tomorrow. Don't you worry about it. But guys, thank you so much for being here and making this show part of your day. We're deeply humbled that you did. A big special thank you to all of you guys who sent in the super chat tip questions and these questions you sent in. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the John Campea Show, thank you guys very much for your support. Of course, I want to thank Kimberly Curran for being here. Kimberly, where can people follow you online?
Hi, guys. You can find me on Instagram at wasgoodkimberly.
And of course, right beside her, Ray Aura.
Yeah, you can find me.
There is no sun in Gotham.
At Ray Aura with a 0 instead of the O.
And of course, you guys can follow me on Instagram or Twitter, simply at John Campea. By the way, I'm closing in on 100,000 followers on Twitter. Getting close. We've added a few thousand more followers. So I don't know if the internet sends me a new car, or does the internet send me like a prize?
Upgrade your Tesla.
Upgrade the Tesla. I mean, did you get something for it? I don't think so. Anyway, guys, follow me on Instagram or on Twitter, simply at John Campea. That'll do it for us for now, guys. Thanks so much for being here. My name's John Campea. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.